Women and men are different. The design of men and women is that women need to talk more. Men can talk more if they're solving a problem. Women need to talk about problems. Men need to talk about solutions. Every mood a woman has that's not positive is not about you. 90% of what you're upset about is not your partner. It's not what's going on in your life. It's unresolved issues from your past.
If I'm stressed about my life's problems and I talk about them while they're still unsolved, it makes me even more stressed.
Yes, women don't understand that. Men process stress by feeling successful. Women go, I want to be successful. But what lowers a woman's stress is connection. What lowers a man's stress is success.
All right, I want to start by just thanking you. You probably have no idea what a positive impact you've had on not only my life, but specifically my marriage. I mean, some of the things I've learned from you, I just was thinking about it. We go back 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, you were on episode 13, which would have been in 2016. It's 2026 now. Some of the things that I learned from you resonated so deeply that I somehow managed to integrate them, and they just became part of my modus operandi. One of the main ones being, you know, in the way that we're able to communicate as men with women. The main one I use all the time, and I don't even think my wife knows that I have this trick up my sleeve, but it's just so simple, and I think so many men miss this, is when a woman needs to move energy and express their feelings and so on, shut your mouth.
So simple. It's so simple.
Listen with compassion.
Yep.
Don't try to solve it. Don't defend yourself. Don't figure it out. Open your body, breathe, and just be receptive to what they need to share. That one tool, I think, is like the linchpin of communication in my relationship, amongst hundreds of other brilliant principles that you've shared with me and other people. But that one is like,
It's so foundation. It's
why is that so hard for guys to get? Because I tell guys that and they're like, oh, I can't do that. It seems to be very difficult for people.
Well, it's interesting. If you can learn that, you have the most important thing, but you have to have a lot of information around it to make it make sense. Like I was talking to one guy, I said, you know, he can't stay in a relationship, and they all don't work out. And I said, well, you have to learn how to listen. And well, she just goes on. And I said, well, if you want a relationship to work, you have to learn how to listen. He says, well, what if you don't want to listen? Well, then you're never going to have a relationship that works. Now, the reason he doesn't want to listen, he doesn't realize why it's so important. So men have to understand the logic.
Right.
Why is it important? So that's a big, big thing. But
right.
Women and men are different. He doesn't understand that we're really different. And he is very masculine. He doesn't have a lot to say unless he's solving a problem. So women can sometimes want to solve a problem, but other times they want to solve another problem, which is they need to talk. So the design of men and women is that women need to talk more. Men can talk more if they're solving a problem. Otherwise, if they're just handling stress, they need to talk less. If women are handling stress, they need to talk more.
Right.
Okay, we're just right. And so when she's talking, and
it's so true.
And when she talks, and then there's more too around it, which is when a woman talks more, it will be about problems. So women need to talk about problems. Men need to talk about solutions.
Yes, exactly.
It's just the bottom line of who we are. So
right.
For fun, we can start out, which is talking about how men and women have been for thousands of years. So I go down to the Amazon, and I've been around the world many times, just looking at how other cultures are that aren't influenced by Western ideas. And what you'll see, I'm just going to give one example. I'm in this little village deep into the Amazon. Maybe there's like 15 huts. It's a little village. You get there by going through the jungle with 2 guides, 2 translators for 5 hours walking, 3 hours we went on the canoe. Big journey to get there. I want to, go someplace like that. And at night, I'm imagining just being in this little hut living, and I'm a woman because the women were all pregnant or taking care of somebody's babies. And I'm imagining I'm being a woman out at night with my baby, and I see a tiger in the woods, or I hear some noise in the woods. What's the first thing she needs to do? Because she's defenseless. She's got a child. She needs to go tell somebody. If she doesn't tell somebody, she now has to fight this animal alone, which is high stress for her. So she needs to go tell her husband, and her husband is going to do what he's learned to do, which is to protect his family. That's his main job. So we have to go do something when there's a tiger, and women have to go tell somebody there's a tiger.
Yes.
This is deeply ingrained into us, and our biology is a reflection of that. So the fun thing about my newest book is that I have all this research that backs up every idea I ever taught, because now it's all available. I use AI, find me the research, because these are just my ideas, my opinion, basically. Now I have all this amazing research on the brain and on the hormones and so forth. And one of the pieces of research I found is they do neuroimaging of men under moderate stress. And when a man's under moderate stress, his testosterone will shoot up. And let me define moderate stress so it's very clear. Moderate stress is when you're in danger, but you don't feel like you're in danger because you're confident. So you're driving your car at 80 miles an hour. You could get a ticket, but you're looking in the rearview mirror, or you have a radar detector, so you feel rather confident, right? You're not going to get a ticket. That's adrenaline. That's moderate danger, but you have confidence. When you lose the confidence, now adrenaline turns into cortisol. That's a fight or flight response. But before fight or flight, which destroys relationships, you have adrenaline, which is not so bad. We're dealing with moderate stress all the time. Where for women, moderate stress is the same situations, just feeling in danger, but you have to make decisions, you do things, and you're feeling good, and you're confident. You look at the brain when a woman's making adrenaline or a man's making adrenaline. A woman has the blood flow from the logic part of the brain goes to the emotional part of the brain 3 times more.
Oh,
For
wow.
the man, blood flow stops to the emotional part of the brain and goes to the prefrontal cortex. It's just like, here it is. And what is it going to the prefrontal cortex to is to go figure out how to slay the dragon. And for the woman, she needs to alert the neighbors, there's a tiger in the woods. And so she's going to have emotion behind her. Look, danger, fear. So she has to communicate those emotions. So the emotions that a woman will feel just under moderate stress are things like frustration, disappointment, worries, concerns, feelings of embarrassment, those kind of feelings. They're not strong anger-like feelings, but they're just moderate feelings. There's traffic on the bridge. So my wife says to me, there was so much traffic on the bridge. My mind goes, well, there's always traffic on the bridge. No big deal. That's my reaction to it. Not a problem. But she's experiencing an emotional response to it, whether she can communicate it or not. Her body is feeling so frustrated and so worried that, that she was late for something, and she's sharing her story. So there's a lot of emotion with it. So here's the next step of misinterpretation between men and women. She needs to talk about that emotion. The only time men experience high levels of emotion are once adrenaline turns into cortisol. When adrenaline goes to cortisol, that's the fight or flight response. Men will have way more emotion at that point because you're losing control. Like you're listening to your wife and you feel blamed or criticized. You start getting annoyed and irritated, and now you're getting angry, frustrated, whatever. You're already in cortisol state. Before that, you're in adrenaline state. And that's what you do. You've learned when you're listening to your wife, you just go, just don't talk, Because as soon as you talk and tell her something, she's not going to say, what a great solution. I'm so grateful that you told me that. I feel so much better.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I realized that, my wife came home talking about the printer wasn't working at the office or something like that, and a few other things, and she was sharing her day. And I said, don't worry about it, honey. Actually, I'm going to go back even further when she was complaining about her job. I said, honey, don't worry about it. I'm making lots of money. You don't have to work. You can do what you like to do. She looks at me like, John, I love my job. Now, my brain, she's complaining all about her job. How could she love her job? Because she loves her job, but she's just sharing the frustration of what happened that day at her job. And that's what I learned. You just listen to it. Don't tell her you don't have to do that job. Don't tell her you could call so-and-so and fix it. They could handle it, or I can handle it. Don't solve the problem. She needs to actually talk for a while about what she's feeling. She's designed to do it. That's an adrenaline response for her. But this is the big misinterpretation from men that goes beyond that. So when you're giving solutions to a woman and they don't work, then you start losing your confidence. Like, hey, this should be simple. What's wrong with her? What's going on? This is not working. As soon as you feel your best is not working, now you're in a place of confidence going down. And now what happens is you go into fight or flight. So the more you talk, when a woman is not saying, what a brilliant idea you have, the more you're going to go into fight or flight. And that's where you start to get angry or upset or really mad, whatever. Or like, basically that's the male response. Now a woman, when she has strong, and that's strong emotion, right? When a woman has strong emotion, it's when she's in adrenaline. And when she moves into cortisol, she has no emotion. That's when women get really quiet and they pull back and they won't talk to you. That's a fight or flight response for her. So if a woman's emotional, we're thinking she's having, what she's upset about is some big problem. So just think about me if I'm in fight or flight, I'm thinking lions, tigers, and bears. I'm having almost the same intensity of emotion as a woman who's experiencing adrenaline. So in my mind, I'm thinking she's making a big deal out of everything. But in her world, she's not making a big deal out of it. She just needs to talk about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm always thinking, when a woman's emotional, why are you so emotional? It's not a big deal. There's traffic on the bridge. It's there every day. It's no problem. Or why are you upset with me over forgetting this one little thing? So we're constantly minimizing her, thinking she's overreacting. But in our world, it would be overreacting. But in her world, it's just a normal, healthy reaction. And when she's really upset, that's underreacting. That's when she won't open her heart. She's closed. And one of the ways you know she's closed is the place when women go into cortisol is they feel overwhelmed. And women are living in cortisol all the time. And so some women, when they'd read my book and I'd say, women, you need to talk about your feelings to your husband. She goes, I don't have any time to talk about my feelings. She's in overwhelm. She's already pushing down all her emotions. So then now we'll take step 2, which is in psychology. Now this isn't just Mars-Venus. We'll apply it to the Mars-Venus ideas. What's known in psychology is that when you suppress feelings of the day, they build up inside, and when you come home, they get displaced on the person you feel safe with. So let's say you have all these emotions during the day. You've got clients and they're frustrating you, or the kids are frustrating you, and you're disappointed about things. You put all this effort into something, you didn't get recognition. All these, this is life. Life is a grind. And so you've got these emotions that if you felt safe to talk about them, you would express them, but you can't. Maybe in working with a client for a while and you're expecting them to buy something and they don't. Well, if it's your husband, you want to say, hey, I put all this into it. Why aren't you giving me what I want? Well, in the business world, it's not a two-way street. You're serving them. They don't give you what you want. Darn, there's disappointment. There's frustration. I put all this into this. I get nothing back. So those feelings are there in the workplace, but you can't express that. It's totally inappropriate. So what your brain will do, and remember, when women are moderately stressed, that's moderate stress, what I talked about. She has more emotion than men. But it's not appropriate to express that emotion. So her brain, because it's not appropriate, she doesn't think any of this stuff. Because it's not appropriate, it gets suppressed because it's not safe to express it. So these are not conscious things. This is just simply not appropriate, gets suppressed. At the end of the day, she comes home. Then what happens? It gets displaced onto you. Her brain, she'll feel a sense of dissatisfaction or worry, vague kind of feeling. And this is when it comes up. When you feel safe, it comes up. And when it comes up, her brain's trying to find a reason why I feel this way. There's no connection to I feel this way because of what happened at work. So her brain's looking for something to be upset about. And you're the target. So you left your socks on the floor. On one day, you left the socks on the floor. It's no big deal. And she picked them up and put them away and felt more loving. On another day, how many times have I asked him to put his clothes away? Does he expect me to be a servant all the time? Why can't he do that? I don't leave my socks on the floor. So all that's going on in her brain. So she's now having irrational reactions to you, because that's what displacement is suppressed feelings come out. Now, since your audience and you are more advanced, we all know about the shadow side. We know about triggers. So trigger is when you're totally irrational. Okay, you have a very strong emotional reaction. It's not just frustration or disappointment. It's anger. It can be hurt. It can be scared. It can be afraid. These are more the very more primitive, subconscious, unconscious feelings. If you have a loving husband and you're not suppressing from the day, or maybe a little suppressing from the day, but you're in a safe relationship where you feel I can be myself. What happens inevitably in every good relationship where you feel safe to be yourself is childhood feelings will now come up into awareness.
Oh, interesting.
You see, this is, now I had a way I used to explain it, which is it's a delayed reaction. As children, we don't feel safe to express certain things and they become immediately repressed. We don't know anything about it. It just happens, okay? Because there's no conscious brain. There's no prefrontal cortex even to process negative emotions. So children it all just gets repressed. So everything gets repressed, and everything our parents are repressing, we absorb. We're in the theta state for the first 7 years. So we absorb everything from our parents, every issue they have. When kids randomly crying, it's because mom's crying inside, but she didn't know it. Kids are just picking up every woman knows that when you take your kids to the grocery store and where everybody's looking, that's when your kid throws a big tantrum. Okay, that's because she's more stressed. My child's saying, I want this, I want this. She's now becoming stressed. She's embarrassed about things. Now she's having to push down her feelings and pushes the kid further into out of control. So everybody knows that feeling of trying to put a lid on it. Your kids are acting up. Parents are mad at each other, but they're just sucking it up, pushing it down. It's particularly the mother. Because see, what happens when men are even in the adrenaline state, they're not suppressing emotion. Their brain's not producing emotion. So put a man and a woman in the same adrenaline-producing state. She's suppressing all the emotions. He's not suppressing at all. But he has no emotions. Like if you're doing some adventure sport, climbing a mountain, the reason some men really like crazy things, dangerous things, is because it produces adrenaline. And so you don't feel your fears, no fear. You do the fearless thing, which makes men a little crazy sometimes. We do crazy stuff, but it's kind of our therapy, which is to not be bothered by life's problems. We have a way to dealing with it. Now, for me, I don't do crazy things. Although I used to as a kid, I'd drive cars really fast. I almost, I became a monk for 9 years. And I thought at one point I was becoming a monk just so I wouldn't drive a car, because I have this sort of race car part of me. I've had race cars, love race cars, driving fast. Almost got killed a few times. So I figured I'll be safe if I become a monk and channel that energy in another way, which I learned to do. You can channel that Kundalini energy through meditation. It's drive, power, a lot of power inside of me. So I bring in through meditation. So I got off the track there, but it was like the difference between a man and a woman in adrenaline state. He's not suppressing emotions. He's just not generating them. The brain is designed to disconnect from the emotional part of the brain to the prefrontal cortex. You can see it in scans. So women go the opposite way. So if she doesn't get a chance, what she's designed to do at that time when there's emotions is she's designed to be able to talk about it and with somebody to feel safe. Then if you get that down in your relationship, now a woman starts to feel really safe. Or if you just had a great romantic vacation, or you really made love and it was really wonderful, there's nothing more powerful to bring up your childhood issues than making love. It's when you're most vulnerable.
Oh, interesting.
So you're so vulnerable. You're naked. I mean, my little granddaughter runs around naked all the time. I want to take off my clothes. Okay, take off your clothes. But see, this is total freedom, total safety. And every trauma that we had in those first 7 years, one by one, they will tend to come up into a committed, loving relationship. That's when it really comes up. So you think, gee, we love each other so much. Where's this coming from? It's all part of personal growth and development. We're designed to become more mature, more developed. We're designed to heal whatever's keeping us from experiencing divine love coming through us. And so all of this repression of divine love, which is what a child has, any grandparent sees it with your children. They're just like so perfect. They're just all love. Well, making love gives you a glimpse of feeling totally safe and surrendered. So when you feel totally safe and surrendered, or in your relationship you're feeling safe, what will come up one thing at a time is this delayed reaction, is the times when you are not safe, you push feelings down. And then when you are safe, those feelings will come up and you will start experiencing what people today call triggers. But they've missed it completely. You know, the younger generation are all saying, you triggered me, and they blame you for doing it, as opposed to, if I'm triggered, that's my stuff, and you've given me the opportunity to look at what I'm not willing to look at within myself. And it's not necessarily that it comes up when I feel safe. It also comes up when we hear the truth. Because the truth is safe, but people don't want to hear the truth. So often when somebody's speaking their truth and we don't want to hear it, our trigger comes up because we don't want to look at our feelings that are coming up around that. But it's actually just hearing the truth. When you hear truth, people get triggered. It's so interesting. So, and then they blame the other person instead of realizing, okay, this is an opportunity for me to take those feelings that are coming up, not displace them onto you. And in terms of your childhood feelings, in psychology, you call that transfer, not transfer it onto you. But just recognize, okay, this is my stuff. And that's what we call it, stuff. It's the things that we have stuffed. It's a great phrase. Good. My stuff. You know, these words gradually evolve as we become more conscious, as the evolution of psychology. But we're stuffing it down. It's coming from our past. And when it comes up as what I call the 90-10 principle. 90% of what you're upset about is not your partner. It's not what's going on in your life. It's unresolved issues from your past. And they will come up and magnify the thing that would normally be just a little adrenaline becomes massive cortisol. Your life is in danger. Because, you know, when kids are screaming, they're in cortisol. Okay, they're crying and they're screaming. They're in terror. You know, you don't understand what's going on. They have no brain to tell them it's okay. And for the parents out there, I'll just mention, the most important thing you can do for your little children when they're crying is don't ask them what they're feeling. Don't tell them what they're feeling. Don't tell them they shouldn't be feeling. Don't give them candy and sweets and ice cream to stop feeling. And don't give them what they think they want at that moment to not feel. But they're having a tantrum. You hold them. If you just look at them and say nothing, they will reach out to you. And you hold them, and then you walk out of the room. So they're not looking at the same thing that was bothering them. And you walk, if you have a garden, you go out into the garden and look at nature. But you're holding them and you're staying calm. So they're going to resonate now with your heartbeat. They're going to resonate with your presence. And they're going to come back to, I'm safe. The essence of all childhood upset is, I'm not safe. I don't know what just happened. It's confusing to me. It's suddenly I was happy. Now I'm crying. I don't know what's happening. You're the parent. You don't know what's happening. Now I'm telling you what's happening. They're traumatized in some way. They just need to feel safe. And you hold them in your arms and you walk around, don't speak. Same thing for women. When they're upset, be the calming energy. Be the calming energy. And you can be the calming energy if you understand why she's so upset. What she needs when she's upset is not a solution, not an explanation, not a defense. Because we think we're helping. We think we're helping. Man. Just close your mouth, and then you practice. There's a good word to add to your practice, which I didn't use in Men Are From Mars. It evolved. It's called containment. I'm going to contain. I'm going to hold in. Because sometimes you're listening and you want to explode. You know, you want to start getting upset. And you only get upset when you feel, I don't know what to do. What I'm doing is not working. Your confidence is dropping. So another word that helps you have confidence is contain. Oh, I know just what to do. I'm containing. And this used to be actually still taught in the Army, kind of taking a teenager and having them grow up real fast to be in a place of danger and do the right thing, is they'll line them up and they'll torture them, basically. They line them up and the drill sergeant will say humiliating things. Okay, I don't want to say them. But they'll just do anything to push your button, anything to trigger you, anything that causes you to react humiliate you, embarrass you, put you down, say bad things about you. And you have to stand at attention. You say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you roll your eyes or you give a look that doesn't say, yes, sir, then you'll do push-ups, or maybe the whole group will have to do more laps and whatever. So you learn containment. Now,
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, in the film Full Metal Jacket, there's an iconic scene of that kind of what appears to be just mindless abuse.
Yes, it seems to be abuse. Right.
But there has to be a purpose to it, you know?
And that is the purpose to it. And this is the purpose of marriage. Make us men.
The war of marriage.
I know.
Well, I mean, so many.
I know you had so many things, but
I'm resisting. You know, there's so many ideas I want to tease out here, but each new idea is revelatory. But one of the things that comes to mind is, as a man, you know, having that confidence to feel like you're being successful in what you're doing. And when you're listening to a woman and you don't have these kind of principles in your arsenal of relational tools, and you're trying to fix it and solve her problem and cutting her off when she hasn't finished expressing whatever feeling, it gets frustrating because you feel like you suck at being able to be there for her, the woman that you love, right?
Right.
And so over the years, practicing so many of the principles I've learned from you, it's like I've learned how to feel successful in that I haven't used the word containment, but the way I look at it is I use my body a lot. I really am conscious to open my body language and to breathe and to make myself feel more receptive and open in a way that also feels safe for me, because I know that the energy that she's moving, even though it might be related to me, it's really not about me. You know what I mean?
And that's the advanced stage, is to know, I can't hear anything from my wife. I just say, tell me. She says, I'm upset. I have some feelings, but I don't want to tell you. It could sound like blame. I say, you can tell me anything, honey, because I understand this. But I don't recommend that to women and men in the beginning. You have to really master it and realize that every mood a woman has that's not positive is not about you.
Yeah.
Every time she's not unhappy, she doesn't have about anything, it's not about me. Right. And one of the ways as a man that helped me to do that, she thinks it's about me, but I know it's not about me because I know it's about her. It's about her stress. It's about her day. It's about what's going on in it. And I'm certainly one part of that, but I know her life is so much better. I remember one woman in a counseling session, and she basically says, I said, why are you not happy? Your husband, he provides this, you have this great life, and you have friends and everything. She says, yeah, I have a great life. I have a perfect life. My only problem is my husband. And he's not an alcoholic or drug addict. I can understand that. But no, that's it. What was happening is she's like this very proper woman. She's suppressing all the time to look good. And so all that stuff just comes off to be, I'm unhappy with my husband. And I said, well, what are your complaints about your husband? And then she would rattle off all these complaints that were totally irrational. And also because she didn't understand men. Now, that's another key thing. A woman could be actually a very balanced, loving woman and have all these complaints about a man just because she didn't understand men. And then that will cause her stress. One of the biggest sources of stress for women when they don't understand men is when men are stressed, and we all have stress, men become quiet. They need to go to their cave. Men need to have time for themselves. And then she goes, well, I didn't want to be with me all the time. I don't want to be with my wife all the time. I have to work. That's one big thing. And then if I have stress from work, I have to take time to let go of that stress.
Yes.
Then
this is another one of the major tools I learned from you. And you can explain why, but the thing that registered with me that stuck is if I'm stressed about my life's problems, and I talk about them while they're still unsolved, it makes me even more stressed.
Yes, women don't understand that. Absolutely.
I just need to go off by myself and ruminate and think about my problems, or not think about, meditate, disassociate from my problems.
That's right. You have to forget your problem.
Yeah, and go into consciousness, for lack of a better term, right? Just go into the bigger context of life.
Bigger context instead of hyper-focusing on a problem. See, the reason you're even stressed, it's a problem that at the end of the day you can't solve. So men process stress by feeling successful.
Yes.
Say success is everything to a man. So, and we'll put it in balance. Women go, I want to be successful. But what lowers a woman's stress is connection. What lowers a man's stress is success. That's what there. And so
true.
So when my wife is talking, I can be successful because I know I'm totally qualified for her to feel connection.
Yes.
And all I have to do is not talk. Now, this is like, we're going to get into my new book for women only. But what I do is give all these instructions to women. If you say to your husband, okay, I just want to talk for 10 minutes. Women go 10 minutes. Some men say, 10 minutes. She only needs to talk longer because she doesn't get regular 10 minutes. It's only so much time a man can actually be over into a woman. You see, a man, when a woman is sharing, you're actually going into her. She's opening up and you're going into her. And when you go into her, you can only stay into her, generally speaking, about 10 minutes. And then your mind is, what's going to happen biologically is your testosterone starts to go down. Okay, so we'll get into hormones in a minute. But when you're feeling successful, but when you connect with a woman so deeply, if she shares herself and you're going into her, what happens is your female hormones start getting produced. Estrogen goes up in her, which lowers her stress. Estrogen goes up in a man, which when it goes too high, increases his stress.
Yes.
And we'll get into the hormonal difference. But so here I am, and so this is what a woman can say to a man. We have code words, just a Venus talk. And we don't even say, let's do a Venus talk. We do a hand signal. Men are all into hand signals. Okay, so 2 hands up means I want to talk 10 minutes. If a man, I could be exhausted and tired. I saw how powerful this technique is one time because I was having dinner with my wife. We'd eat at home all the time. And I'm just done a whole day and I was exhausted. And so I'm eating my food and I'm ready to go to my cave, my time just to be on my own. And she wanted to talk. And I said, look, I just need to do my cave. We can talk later. She says, and she looks at me with a big smile and she puts up her 10 fingers because that's our sign, which says she needs to talk 10 minutes. Instantly, my energy came back because I know exactly what's going to happen. I only have to listen for 10 minutes. She's going to be happier. I can be successful at it. And instantly, my energy comes back. See, 10 minutes is enough for a man. If he has a goal that you can achieve success in 10 minutes, every man will have energy. If it's like, I got to go to mow the lawn, it's 3 hours, I'll put it off. But 10 minutes, and it doesn't always have to be, but this is enough to get him fully engaged, and usually you have to stick to it. If a woman says verbally, we need to talk, or I need to talk to you, instantly a man's stress will go up.
Damn straight.
It goes right up. But if she does this, there's no tone of voice. It's silent. There's no stress. All there is for me is I have a job to do. It takes 10 minutes, and it's also not about me. This is called a Venus talk, where you're going to fulfill your need to lower your stress by talking about things that are bothering you without putting your partner as the cause of it. He is only the solution. And his solution is not to say anything. This is such a win-win. Every man, what women should know is if you make a man your hero, he'll die for you. If you make a man not your hero, he'll start dying because of you.
Wow, that's a good. Jared, make a clip of that. That's so.
And it's even it's even biological. Okay.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things about your body of work is, obviously it's based on your life experience and having an understanding of psychology, but when you bring in the biology, the hormones, the neurotransmitters, all of this. I think that's what really locks it in and grounds it in reality, right?
Yeah, it's really great.
This isn't,
Men Are From Mars, I didn't have any of this science. We didn't have the science, but the examples I give were so true to everybody's experience. It worked. People said, are you following me around? Have you been lying under our beds? All our conversations.
Totally.
We're so universal as human beings, we don't realize it. I speak all over. I've been in 40 different languages. I go to China. And it was actually kind of a spiritual experience people would have. They didn't realize that. But to realize an American couple are having the same issues they're having. Yeah, completely different surface level issues. But on a level of love and connection, same misunderstandings. Simply because We have this lack of understanding of how different we really are. And the narrative is we're all the same. If we can all be the same, then wouldn't we all get along? We'd be bored to death.
Yeah.
And if we were all the same, it's not true. See, it's just not true, okay? We are so biologically different, and that affects our emotions, our mindset, our needs. A woman's body is designed, at least until menopause, she's designed to be able to make a baby. We can't make babies. We don't have those hormones. It's a whole different set of hormones. And I know you're about to say something, but let me say this. Because I imagine people listening who haven't read Men Are From Mars are kind of hearing about this for the first time. And I could sound like a total sexist. How can you say that? How can you say that?
This is where I was going to go. Yeah,
okay, we're going to go there. It sounds, just to jump into some of these advanced ideas. Well, some of them are already thinking, well, why doesn't he talk? He should talk. Why is he not talking? He can talk. Ask a man a question and he'll talk. Have a problem and ask him to solve it. He'll have a lot to say, but he's not going to talk about his feelings. And then she's going to go, well, why can't he talk about his feelings? Well, he can certainly talk about his positive feelings, and I have exercises to teach men how to express positive feelings, because we have no context of expressing positive feelings. Like, I love my wife. I married her. I adore her. I make love to her. Why do I need to tell her every day my feelings about her? It doesn't make sense to me at all unless I understand women. Women need to hear. The ears are the biggest sex organ in a woman's body. Okay, she needs to hear that she is loved. I'll jump into one of my favorite exercises I do with my wife. I'm 74 years old. I have sex for hours quite often. I'm 50% higher testosterone now as a young man. I have the best sex I could ever imagine, and it's all because I understand this stuff. My hormones are the hormones of a young man. And I have all the knowledge of this 75, 74-year-old guy and the wisdom of being an expert at this. This is everybody. These tools are not that complicated. And here's another one for you and your wife, because I see how much you love each other, how beautiful it is. One of the basic ideas in Men Are From Mars is 4 hugs a day that a man initiates. So just like I get up, I find my wife, give her a hug. Maybe she's in the kitchen or maybe she gets up later, whatever. As soon as we meet again after waking state, I find her, that makes her feel special. Women want to be chased. They want to be pursued. I see it with my little granddaughter. She loves to have me chasing her around. I have a female dog. She loves me to chase her, whatever. So this is the female side of us that wants to be seen and desired and so forth. Some men are going, well, I want that too. Yeah, you have a female side, but we have a male side. And there's places where we want to be desired. And the most important thing where a man wants to be wanted is sexually. See, sexuality is the place where a man can fully engage his female side and be masculine. But most people don't know, biologically, if for a man to be sexually attracted to a woman is one of the greatest gifts in his life. And the reason for that is that it's the only time, primarily the only time, is when he has an erection, his testosterone's going up, but also his estrogen's going up. He's got his balance between the masculine and the feminine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't know that till I saw the research. I went, oh, this is why I like sex so much. Because I'm always talking about
you're transcending duality, right?
That's exactly it. You're transcending. It's the ultimate goal. I'm a monk to experience oneness in the universe. I have all that spiritual experience, but to bring it down into the body, literally for a man, when you go into a woman, you're connecting with her. Your female hormones start getting produced, but you're generating that in her. You're doing something for her. So you're able to maintain your testosterone. Look what I can do for her, because she's happy and she's fulfilled and she's trusting, she's opening. That openness that a woman has is what builds a man's testosterone. And so it's like if a woman is open to being helped. Now, here's one thing I changed from Men Are From Mars that I'm finding very helpful today. As I talked about, a man's life is always about to protect and serve. And this is the essence of every policeman, soldier, everything. We're all in service, We see a policeman, a soldier, thank you for your service. But the word service doesn't have the same meaning it used to have. It's kind of like service means you're a servant. And men don't want to be the servant. It's kind of like looking down. So I'm going to be a servant to women. I think part of the edge that a lot of men don't like to hear that is because women do look down on men quite a bit today, and we have to change that. So there's The most beautiful, beautiful thing about a woman for a man is her vulnerability. And the time that you feel vulnerable is the time when you need help. And when you need help and a man can help you, you're the hero. That's the relationship of man and women in a romantic relationship. If you're going to have a marriage and want romance to last, she has to be very conscious and aware to remain and sustain her vulnerability, which needs help. Now, I'm going to step back to what I was just about to say, which is one of my techniques is 4 hugs a day. It reminds her that a woman needs to feel that connection, because she can get off on her male side solving problems and disconnect with her female side, her vulnerable side that needs help. Here's a sort of maybe a spiritual concept for people to talk about purpose of life. What is the purpose of life? What is my purpose when you're depressed? What is my purpose? The bottom line, if you're a man, all men, the purpose of your life is to make a difference, is to be able to have an effect in a positive way, a meaningful way, a significant way to somebody else. And then you are significant. I need to find somebody who needs my help and provide that help, and you just feel so good. That's all what masculine is about, just pure masculine energy, is doing it. I did it. You want to feel I did it. And that's very, very key masculine thing. Look what I can do. Look what I've done. And I explain this to women. You have to understand, man, it's not an ego trip. It's masculinity. Look what I can do. He takes you to the movies. If he drove you to the movies and you enjoyed the movie, he'll walk out and say, how'd you like the movie? And you say, that was an amazing movie. I feel like I wrote the movie.
Yeah, totally.
Anytime a woman is happy,
so true.
A man's going to think, I did that. Now, why is that so important? Because that's success. And what that does in terms of success is it raises a man's testosterone levels. So let's go into hormones for a moment. And I'll come back to the exercise, the reassurance exercise I was talking about for lasting romance, one of the many. So this is where you don't think I'm a sexist, all right? Let me just explain biologically, women are designed to make a baby. They're cycling every month. They're going through this cycle of hormones changing, all these different changes in hormones. And if a woman during that time is experiencing cortisol, that's a big stress hormone, okay? Cortisol, it's going to age you, it's going to cause wrinkles, it's going to cause unhappiness, it's going to cause anxious thoughts, it's going to cause feelings of overwhelm and stress. So it's the hormonal balance that does it. The hormones are out of balance. So life is doing it, triggers her hormones, but how she's relating to life will then produce the positive hormones that she needs in order to feel stress-free. It's a mind-body, body-mind relationship there. So all I've done is basically, anybody can go look it up. This is not that complicated. It's what are the woman's hormones when she's stressed? And what are the man's hormones when he's stressed? Totally opposite, complete opposite. When a woman is experiencing stress hormones, her estrogen will be too low for half of her cycle. At the other half of her cycle, her progesterone will be too low. Okay, so they got two different things. And what I do, which people are waking up to, is how you relate to somebody determines what your hormones are. If a woman is in a room all by herself, locked in a room, she can't make estrogen. The only way she can make estrogen is a nun who has a relationship with the non-physical reality of this world. Okay, if you call it God or Jesus or whatever, that will produce estradiol. That will make her estrogen levels go up. But it's relationship that allows women to balance their hormones. And it's relationship to men in terms of what do I feel successful about or not. So let's take an example of that for the critics. They've done tests on this. If I scored high on the test, my testosterone went up. If I scored the best in the room, but they told me it was the worst, my testosterone goes down. Has nothing to do with whether I did it right or wrong, whatever. Has to do with somebody telling me you did the best.
It's the reflection, the feedback.
It's a feedback. Everything's feedback.
Yeah.
The feedback you get from the world tells you whether you're a success or not. Even though you did this great job and you did better than everybody else, you failed.
If your meditation practice feels like work instead of peace, listen up. A lot of us sit with the best of intentions. We're trying to quiet the mind, experience inner stillness, maybe even connect with something deeper within. But the fact is that if your body can't let go of background stress, it makes all of that more difficult, sometimes even impossible. And that's why I use the Apollo Neuro. It's a wearable that sends gentle, rhythmic pulses through your body, and that signal communicates safety through your sense of touch. And when your nervous system feels safe, everything changes. Your breath slows down, you settle in faster, and you can actually drop into a meditative state without all the struggle. I've noticed when I use the Apollo, I just go deeper and faster, like my body finally decided to cooperate with my mind. And it doesn't stop there. Apollo comes with an app called Smart Vibes AI that learns your patterns and automatically adjusts the support you need when you need it. Here's where you want to go to get your nervous system dialed in. It's called apolloneuro.com/Luke. And if you use the code Luke, you get $99 off the Apollo wearable and Smart Vibes AI bundle. Apollo takes the friction out of my meditation practice, but the real win is how it helps my system stay calm, present, and way less reactive throughout the day. So you definitely want to check out apolloneuro.com/Luke, and that code is Luke to save $99. This explains why, because Alice and I have kind of had this dance where she knows my, I guess you could say my love language is affirmations, right? If I sweep the floor, like I feel so good. If she's like, "Oh my God, you swept the floor? That's amazing," you know? And so she knows that I really am fueled by that reassurance. It gives me so much confidence. I want to feel appreciated and acknowledged for things that I do, whether they're big or small. But at different times, she's felt sort of, I don't know, annoyed that I require so much of that. I guess you could
They
say,
think we're on an ego trip because they don't require. What they require is not, "Oh, you did a good job. Tell me how hard that was. Tell me about it. Let me hear you." See, that's their primary need, is to be heard. Ours is to be seen as successful. She needs to be seen as lovable and understood and so forth.
Right.
So we're on the little journey of testosterone. So words of affirmation is going to stimulate. Now, what women have to know is just saying the words, if you don't feel them, doesn't do it. It literally, energetically, we're energetic beings. We sense things whether we're conscious of it or not. She can use all the right words, but if the feeling doesn't back it up, you won't experience the benefit. It's just, you can't lie to your partner. I mean, I have so many couples who, the woman thinks she's the very best person, whatever, and then I say to her, she's in therapy with me, right? And that she hates her husband. He's not good enough. He's not this. He's not that. He got all these complaints. And I say, "Well, what do you think his complaints are about you?" I never complain to him. I never argue with him. I never, except they don't have sex anymore. And then I say, "Well, you don't have sex with him." "Well, I can't have sex with him. He doesn't do anything for me. How could I have sex?" And I understand the logic of it. So you've just justified not being a loving wife. You've found reasons for it. But then I said, "But let's look at what's going on." She says, "Well, what's going on inside? Are you feeling frustrated that he did that?" She says, "Yeah." "Don't you think he's stupid?" "Yeah, he's so stupid. I can do everything." "Don't you think he's lazy?" "Yeah, he's so lazy." "Don't you think he's not a very loving person?" He's not. I don't even know why I married him." Do you tell him those things? "Oh, no. He's feeling it anyway."
Mm-hmm.
So you can complain out loud. You complain inside. A man's going to react to it. And the react is, "I'm not good enough." And nobody feels successful when you're not good enough. So what does she do? She has to clean up those feelings. Now, logically, they could actually all be true, but you have to handle the emotions that get produced in you when those things happen. And when you process negative emotions, you can then come back to positive emotions. If you're suppressing your negative emotions, which is what she's doing, you can't feel positive emotions. You're suppressing your ability to feel. So you have to learn how to, and that's what therapy really is for people, being able to connect with, discover what your negative emotions are and why you're feeling that way. And when those emotions come up and they're seen by your conscious mind, you see, they're all in the back part of the brain and in the body as well, but controlled by the brain. When you're able to identify them, feel them, identify them, and then communicate them, then what happens is your brain can process it and say there's another way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
You're just fixed in one way of looking at it, which is you're in danger. You're not in danger.
I think, you mentioned that these ideas could seem sexist or antiquated or something, right? I think and I'm open to your view on this, but with the kind of feminist movement and equal rights, which obviously there was an imbalance of kind of power there and acknowledgement. The masculine and feminine were out of balance, right? And so that was a necessary kind of evolution, at least in Western culture. But I think what happened there was that equality was conflated with sameness, right? A lot of the problems I think we have is that we think, oh, well, we both should have the same rights means that we're both the same.
Exactly. That was it.
Right?
Equality means sameness, and we're just not same, but we can have equal opportunity. We can have equal respect. We can have equal rights. And there's no, even when I'm talking about differences, there were a lot of old things like, oh, men are smarter than women. Well, no, we now know some women are super smart and some men aren't that super smart. So it's not a gender thing, the level of intelligence you have. What we're talking about is how we relate to life. That's my whole focus. Mm-hmm. You're coupled. And my goal, by the way, when I do this is, my parents stayed together, 7 children. My mother was very happy. My dad was very happy as far as I could see as a kid. They didn't fight. Nothing happened. I know they were having sex. We'd listen under the door and hear them having sex. I had 7 children. So, that was the lifestyle then. But my mother had no expectations of my dad other than he would go to work, make enough money to provide a middle-class home in a safe neighborhood, and also have some good manners. My dad did have good manners. And one other thing, which is crucial, is that his good manners is he was taught, most men used to be, unless they were alcoholics or drug addicts and didn't have a good job. See, men just become dysfunctional when they don't get paid for their work. It's all about men. So there's dysfunctional men, and then my dad wasn't. He was well paid, and for that time, made $7,000 a year and could buy a house.
Are you serious?
Yeah, $7,000 a year, bought a house in a middle-class neighborhood.
Holy shit.
Gas was 25 cents a gallon. It was a different world. But most men, he went to college, so he had education, you could get a job that would pay you enough to get a house. That's how it used to be. We messed it all up.
Yeah.
And part of messing it all up, and for our feminists that are listening, well, there's so many men who are out of work, and also men don't get paid what they deserve. Well, that's because on one level, women took half the jobs, and women were willing to work for less. Because women are willing to work for less, men are not. Because men will usually feel this sense of, I have to not get money for me, but I have to get money for my wife and my children. And every man who's hiring a man knows that. But if you're hiring a woman who has a husband, why do I need to pay her so much? He's also contributing.
Funny. So it's like an unconscious valuation.
It's unconscious valuation.
Yeah.
So, and that's not to say I don't like the advancements that men and women have. What I'm saying is that's why we have this problem. Now, part of solving the problem is women are in the workplace and so forth. Great. They do great things. And the world can become better if men and women are solving problems together. There's no doubt about that. But we have to solve this problem of men not having jobs. That's a problem for the government and for us to be aware of, not being paid enough for what they do. But regardless, you see, you need to feel successful as a man. Let's say you make 50,000 and she makes 50,000 and you come home and you both come home. She doesn't have this huge feeling of appreciation that she didn't have to go to work. See, my mother had no complaints. When somebody's doing something meaningful to you, you have no complaints. You could he leaves his socks around, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, but they're nothing. You just go, he has this, but look, he gives me this life where I can do what I love, what my dream is. My mother's dream was to have 7 children, little white picket fence, a very simple dream. And she got it, and she was very, very happy. So she had no complaints. If you have no complaints for a man, he can't complain back. You start to hear as we go through this whole thing, we're just mirrors of women. Women are not mirrors of us. We are the mirror of women. Now, how this works, she's happy, we're happy. Everybody knows the idea, right? Happy wife, happy life. You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody listening, happy wife. Have you ever heard happy husband, happy life?
No,
because we're different. We mirror. If a woman is happy, we mirror it. If I'm happy, it doesn't make my wife happy. If she's already happy and I'm happy, she enjoys my happiness. I'm a super happy guy. And that created, I'm successful. And being successful, I mean, at my heyday, I would have my own private jet. I don't anymore. I don't make all that money like I used to, but I'd fly to New York in my own jet so I could fly home that night to take my kids to school. And it was all about value. Family values are important to me. And I did have a lot of money. And so I would go to New York a few days. I was on the West Coast, go to the East Coast. And I meet movie stars. They'd all read my book. Everybody wanted to have pictures with me. It's like I stayed at the best hotels. I'm invited, paid outrageous fees for giving talks. It was amazing. It was a flashy life. So I'm just coming home feeling great, and I had a standing ovation. I did the biggest theater in Broadway at Gershwin. Anyways, went the biggest. I guess it's too long to remember. Gershwin Theater, possibly. But for 7 days in a row, standing ovations and I would never do that again. Too much energy to do that. But I would go off and give these big talks and come home so happy. My wife would be, oh, you're home. And she's putting a smiling face. And how was your trip? And I would itemize. I met so-and-so, and I went here, and I went to the hotel, and I went to this restaurant. Oh, my God, the sushi was great. And I just watched her mood just start to shrink. It was like a black cloud came into the room. And as I'm done, she says, yeah, the tone of her voice says, yeah, you do all the fun stuff. And you know what happened when I left? So then after I told her all that, then she says, yeah, you had a good time. Do you know what happened when you were gone? The toilet overflowed. I had to call the plumber. He didn't come for 2 days. It was a mess. Our babysitter. She's going to go into all these details of how terrible that week was. So I thought, this is odd. And then I thought, well, men and women are different. Let me try it next time. And just, the plane was late. I had to talk to so-and-so. It was a good trip. And then she's smiling. I'm suffering like she's suffering. That's connection.
Oh, wow.
Never be happier than a woman. And it's not like I can't share my happiness. I just wait for a time when she's feeling really happy. My wife will sit next to me, and just a background for me, because I talk about different wives. My wife, of all men are from Mars, was, we were married 32 years, and she died of cancer. And that was 8 years ago. So I'm currently married again.
I remember that. Yeah. So you remarried.
Yeah, I'm remarried. I'm very, very happy.
I remember you had started dating someone when we last hung out in London.
Oh, okay. So, so anyway, we got married, and I met her. She's also a relationship teacher and really into it, which is really fun for me. But I watch my videos. I do every week, and I'll just let people know, John Gray Mars Venus on YouTube. Every week I have 2 hours of a talk. It's always different. I have so much material, 28 books, so I'm putting it all on YouTube.
28 books
28
at this point? Oh my God.
And last year I wrote 6.
In a year?
I just wrote them. Now I'm editing. Okay. Now editing, is a big process.
Yeah.
But this one, let me finish that point, which is whatever that point was. Now I went into 6 books.
Your now wife.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting there watching. I like to watch my videotapes. Every time I watch them, I see, you didn't make that clear. You can make it. It becomes clearer to me what I miss in a talk. And so I'm watching, and she has to go out of the room. And the reason she goes out of the room is she says, "You're so good. It makes me feel I'm not good." That's a tough thing, and you find this with a lot of really high performance fathers, and their sons have a lot of insecurity. I'm glad that my dad was not a high performer. So I had my own little world to develop myself, but it can cause a lot of insecurity for a child to grow up with a high performing father, because you're always comparing yourself to that. In the old days, if you were a very wealthy, successful man, often your male offsprings had a lot of drug addiction, became playboys, basically. That was a word back in those days, playboy. Can't make a commitment. All you want to do is have sex with different women. You take drugs, you take alcohol, you do this stuff, and you die. Some awful disease will get you. Because, see, they never have to earn it. You can't really feel successful if you didn't earn it. You can have you can have the fake success, like say you win a lottery. And you just have so much success. Wow, I feel great. Look what I won the lottery. But you didn't really earn it. And so a lot of people win lotteries, particularly men, become extremely dysfunctional as a result.
I've heard that, yeah.
It's a very common thing.
I've looked at that. That's an interesting just phenomenon to me. it seems like if one's consciousness isn't aligned with that level of success, there's a mismatch.
There's certainly a way. That's one way of fully identifying it.
That's
No
kind of
question
how
about it.
I've looked at that, right?
Yeah, but you could also look at it from the point of view your consciousness did win the prize.
Yeah, true,
Right.
true.
You just weren't prepared to deal with that,
Yeah.
and so you ended up drawing it in, and then I can't handle all that.
Yes.
Because you're, and I had a lot of this that I had to deal with. I suddenly started making a lot more money when I was selling, 20, 30 books. 30 million books in the 90s. Now it's beyond
my
50
God.
million
Are
books.
you serious?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
In 45 different languages. I was just in Saudi Arabia teaching there, and the bookstore came. They wanted to sell some books. I said, "How are my books doing?" He said, "Since you wrote the book, you're number one or number two best-selling book in our store."
Wow.
Just doesn't end.
That's really interesting, considering, the cultural differences in the Middle East, right? I mean, I'm not...
See, that's the point I'm saying. Every culture, 45 different languages, a bestseller. China, the Chinese government used to print my book. I have like 7 publishers in China. Only one is mine because they can rip off your thing. So,
They bootlegged your books?
oh, everybody.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, not funny, but...
It's what it is. I'm getting paid enough in English. Okay,
Sure.
I have no complaints.
Sure.
I want more people to read it. That's all. Changing the world, or to a certain extent. But there's not a person in China that hasn't heard Men Are From Mars.
Wow.
I did one show there, and there are 32 million people watching it.
Holy
You can imagine a show, because they only have 3 channels or something. They're all
Right,
watching.
right.
So it gets around. It's got around, and it's just a universal principle that men and women are different. And ironically, people always knew that in the past, that we're different, but they couldn't articulate the differences.
Mm-hmm.
The wisdom of culture set a culture up where men were designed to do certain things that give you an opportunity for success. And that would make men functional. When a man does not have the opportunity to feel successful, he becomes dysfunctional. When a woman has the opportunity to have a partner to connect with, who cares about her, who's devoted to her. See, devotion is a very key thing. I heard one of your speakers talking about a woman what needs to be devoted to a man. No way, that's codependence. Men, masculinity, finds somebody, I'm devoted to her. That's monogamy, that's commitment. Mm-hmm. This is the highest level man can go to, is to feel devotion. And it's based on a word you used, which was a good one, compassion. Mm-hmm. And when I went to Tibet and studied there, it was so interesting to me. They have their deities, which are real principles, and the principle for women is wisdom, and it always has been. Sophia is wisdom, and the principle of masculinity is compassion.
That's so interesting.
And self is what we are. Everything we think today, if you're not happy,
backwards.
It's backwards. Up is down, down is up. It's all backwards.
Totally.
So you'll see Dalai Lama wandering around. He's traveling around. All they do is teach compassion. Because it's mainly, he's a man, it was a male dominated society where men would learn to be compassionate. And when you're compassionate to your wife, she has wisdom. And when a woman has wisdom, then men become compassionate. So that's why I wrote this most recent book, just to women, just awaken a woman's wisdom. And a man doesn't have to read it. That's such a key factor, which is women have the power to awaken a man's compassion. Now, while I say that, I feel I've gotten into so many advanced parts of this book. I got to come back to the basics that so the people who think I'm a sexist can understand. Mm-hmm. So biologically, if you look at us right now, our testosterone levels, well, it'll be much higher because we're feeling successful. But just as a guy walking around on the street, a healthy guy, his testosterone levels in a non-stressed state, a man's testosterone levels need to be 10 times higher than a woman's. Otherwise, he's stressed. Okay, this is it. If you don't have testosterone levels 10 times higher than the average woman, you're a very unhappy man. You're probably procrastinating. You're probably obsessed with worrying about yourself, feeling not good enough. Maybe you have an addiction or whatever. All those things I just mentioned, dysfunctional male, is low testosterone. Always. Now what you have on the others, and again, some women might think, oh no, high testosterone is violence in men. Nope. high. Whenever a man is violent, he's lost confidence and his testosterone's gone down. You can measure it.
Yes, this is another thing. I think I learned this from you, and the way I frame it, or the way that I kind of I guess contextualize it, is this idea of toxic masculinity, right?
There's no such thing.
When people generally think of a man who's got toxic masculinity, he's rageful and throwing fits and violent. And I think it was you that said, no, when a guy loses his shit, when he loses control of his emotions, he's actually overwhelmed by estrogen.
That's right. That's what
Did I have that right?
Yes. It's a proven fact.
It's like toxic femininity in
no,
men?
no. What
how would you frame that?
That's just a dysfunctional man.
Okay.
Masculinity is never toxic. Femininity is never toxic.
Okay.
It's dysfunctional person.
Got it. Okay.
A dysfunctional male. There's no such thing as toxic. That's why I jumped in.
Okay.
So when a man is experiencing cortisol, fight or flight in some reaction, what's happening is testosterone's going down and his female hormones are overwhelming him. Estrogen's going up. But let's come back to the basics of, testosterone 10 times more. Now, when you're feeling really successful, or particularly when you're aroused to your wife, your testosterone doubled. And that's why my testosterone are doubled all the time. I'm totally hooked into my wife. I feel desired, loved, supported by my wife completely. And I'm dependent upon my own success to keep it up to 10. And then to go beyond that, I'm dependent upon making my wife happier, to feel I'm successful in love. That can take men to the highest level. So a woman, just understand the difference. For women, when they're stressed, their estrogen is low or their progesterone is low. It's different times of the month. And if she's feeling romantic, so just when she's feeling stress-free and a happy woman going around doing her thing, her estrogen levels will be 10 times higher than a man's estrogen. Okay, we're complete mirrors of each other. Okay, so 10 times higher. And for her to have romantic feelings towards you, her estrogen levels have to double. That's biological. When a woman's estrogen doubles, her brain produces luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone causes her to produce healthy testosterone, which is the desire to be penetrated for a woman. There's unhealthy testosterone where she's just stressed out and she's solving problems. Because when women are stressed, their estrogen's going down, their testosterone's going up. So when estrogen's down, testosterone going up, testosterone's about achievement, accomplishment. She's into the mode of achievement, accomplishment, which shows up, if her estrogen is not high, if her estrogen is low, it shows up as overwhelm. So this is why women, when they're feeling overwhelmed, they're stuck on their male side and they can't get back to their female side. And everything we're talking about in my books and in this is how men can help women come back to their female side. And, where it seems like these modern women say, I don't really need a man. Yeah, you need a man more than ever before. You can support all the things that you used to use a man for, survival, security, and all that. Now you need a man to help you come back to connect with your female side. It's not going to happen unless you decide, you can go to 10 times more estrogen with a man just by being with other women. And that's one of the big problems for women today, is they don't have enough time with other women in a not work-oriented, stressed environment. Mm-hmm. The example of that, when I first realized that, I was down in Bali 20, 30 years ago, and staying in a nice hotel, and there's a river down below and a hill going down, and I saw about 30 women all going down to the river, and they're all carrying bundles on their head, and they go down there with rocks and they wash their clothes, and there's about 60 kids. They're all having fun. Parents aren't having to sit and entertain their children. They're all being entertained by each other, and they're all just going down to the river. They're all talking. It was very noisy. And I was kind of like, what's that noise? It's women talking. And that fulfills one of the primary needs that women have, is to feel included, to feel other people are like me. That's a form of connection. The higher form of connection is to experience someone who's not like you and to feel connected with them. See, that takes your estrogen to a higher level. That's what a romantic relationship would provide, or even a therapeutic relationship where the man is the therapist and you're coming up with feelings that that most men don't have, and he can relate to it. So you're a very sensitive guy. You can relate to a woman's feelings. So she's going to get that extra boost from you because you can go over to the female side of you to connect with her. For most men, that's primarily the only time we can do that is through is when our mirror neurons open up. That's a whole nother fun subject in my new book. See, science is just great. It's proved all my ideas and taken them to another level. Is mirror neurons allow a man to feel what somebody feels. Women, their mirror neurons, it's a system in the brain that can measure and with brain scans. Women's mirror neurons are open all the time. The more she cares about someone, the more open they are, the more they can feel more deeply what that person's feeling. For a man, our mirror neurons are closed almost all the time. And the only time they open up is when we feel needed and we're not blamed.
Huh.
That's the most important concept in my book, the most recent one, which is for women only, is to understand that when you need a man's help and you're not blaming him for not helping you, that's when his mirror neurons can open. And that's when he can connect with you. He can feel what you're feeling. If you share your feelings in a context where you need his help, and what would your help be? I need you to hear me. Because see, for women to feel heard is connection. So that's what women have to understand is when I'm stressed, I'm on my male side making testosterone and not making enough estrogen to balance it. So what I need is to feel he's hearing me. I need to connect with this person who loves me. Okay, so see, I love my wife, but my mirror neurons, if I'm in an adrenaline state, I love her, but I can't fully feel the love. Okay, so you have to realize that men can love their partners but not feel the love. And if you don't feel the love, then she's not going to feel the connection. So once again, women are constantly thinking, he doesn't love me, he doesn't love me, he doesn't love me. And you're kind of, what are you talking about? I don't love you. I'm solving this problem. I'm doing this. I'm this way. You know, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Oh my God, this is so key, right? I think as men, especially in a dynamic wherein you're positioned as the provider, as I am currently in my relationship, I feel like I'm crushing it because I'm doing so much. I'm grinding. I'm working my ass off. I'm enduring so much stress and having to overcome.
It makes you feel like a man. You know, you're like a soldier. I'll do this thing, and I'm not complaining about it.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
100%. And so there have been times where, you know, I feel like I'm just like the best husband in the world, right? And then there is, you know, something expressed where I realized her needs aren't being fulfilled. And I'm like, how could your needs not being fulfilled? Do you see all I'm doing? But it's the hugs, you know, throughout the day. It's the capacity to be able to truly be present and listen. It's like the providing part of it is really almost maybe totally secondary to the...
No, it's primary. Secondary is taking it to the higher level.
Okay.
See, you can't just give hugs and listen to your wife if you don't already feel like a king.
Okay. Yeah. But I guess what I'm getting at is there have been times, and you know, this thankfully isn't something that's ongoing because, you know, we evolve and grow, but there have been times where it's like, to speak in general terms, you're not doing enough. And I'm looking around going, do you see
this? Drives men, all men.
Do you see this house? Do you know what I went through today? Do you know the battles I've been fighting out in the world and in my mind and on my emails? And like, this isn't enough. Are you crazy?
Now, let's just take a moment here. What you just said, you would never say to your wife, but you feel it.
Yeah.
If you said that to your wife, she's going, do you know what I'm going through? Do you know how much I do? And do you know what I get for you? And do you know what it is? And it has no effect at all except cause her to feel more complaining for you.
Right.
So a man can feel these things, but you got to contain it. And then you have to understand, again, understanding women makes all the difference. If you're really, really good at all that stuff, then she can't blame you for that. She has to find something else to complain about you for. See, she has to, because she's displaced the problems of her day onto you. She's not happy. And the reason she's not happy is for all these other things, she's not dealing with her emotions and feelings that causes stress. So what lowers a woman's stress, let's come back to that basic, which is, there's so much in what you just said, but when a woman's estrogen levels go down, now what creates estrogen in a woman is when she feels safe and I have what I need. Okay, so this is always why women, they fall in love. Oh, they have this whole fantasy of what her life's going to be now. I feel more feminine. I have support. I don't have to do this. I have this. In her mind, she's imagining she's going to get what she needs. She's going to get that connection that she's looking for and missing. And so what happens, their estrogen levels go up. That's what all of our romantic rituals are about. It's about planning a date, so now she anticipates an evening for her. It's this thing that I used to wonder, women are always saying, I have no time for me. What man really says, I have no time for me? We are. And then women feel like we're narcissists because of that. No, we're doing a healthy man takes the time for himself so that he can make the money, do the things, correct himself, so he has more to give.
Yeah.
So this is like the way we're designed to be.
Yeah.
And so he's over here taking care of himself. She's lost on her taking care of everybody else, which is a whole book came out from Before Men Are From Mars. It was very popular. I learned a lot about women reading that book called Codependent No More.
Oh, yeah.
Every woman should read that
Classic.
book. Okay? It's a classic book, just like Men Are From Mars, classic. It doesn't really give you the solutions I give, but boy, it sure helps me understand women. So the understanding there, if I simplify it all in one word, which is codependence, it's kind of a crazy word, means making your partner's needs more important than your own.
In my mid-50s here, I've reached a point where I'm not trying to do more for my health. I'm all about doing less, but doing it better. The thing is, stacking supplements and protocols only gets you so far if your body never actually resets. That's why I lean hard into infrared sauna therapy. I've been doing it for, almost 30 years now. For me, it's hands down one of the most reliable ways to downshift my nervous system, improve recovery, and support better sleep and detox. And the sauna I love and use is the Amplify sauna from Sunlighten. Sunlighten spent over 25 years refining patented infrared technology to deliver the wavelengths your body responds to best. Full spectrum infrared, higher heat, faster sessions. I hop in that bad boy, get a real sweat, and get out without wasting a second of my valuable time. And with consistent use, it supports your body's natural detox pathways, which in today's world is an absolute must. And Sunlighten has got a serious hookup for you. Visit lukestory.com/sunlighten and use the code LukeStory to save up to $1,600 on your purchase. Plus, get free shipping and additional discounts throughout the year. Because being healthy isn't about doing more. It's about setting the conditions for your body to clear what it never needed in the first place. So again, this life-changing technology can be found at lukestory.com/sunlighten. And if you know what's good for you, definitely want to input that code LukeStory to save you up to $1,600. I was trying to define codependency in writing my book, and it was so difficult to come up with something that wasn't just, I don't know,
it's complicated.
Psychobabble.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
psychobabble.
It's like,
right.
what is the essence of it? That's really good.
Is the bottom line. And it's making your partner's needs more important, or making the needs of others more important than you are. There's not a woman that's unhappy that comes into my office isn't overwhelmed with so much time, with no much time for herself. Okay, so they're not making themselves finding the balance of what it is I need. And but when they look at their feelings sound the opposite, because they're saying, I don't get this, I don't get this, I don't get this, because they're putting their energy out there and they're not learning how to bring the energy in. So another paradoxical thing, up is down, down is up, is giving. Giving is masculine. From a place of compassion, that's where you can give love unconditionally. And from a place of wisdom is where women can give love unconditionally. Otherwise, there's no such thing as unconditional love, and except with your children. See, this is why when you can have children or your little pet, you have someone who you see as a part of you and you give love to them, you're giving it to yourself. It's kind of automatic if they're your own children. That's me over there. As a part of me over there. My grandchildren, that's half of me over there. So I'm giving that child, I'm giving to myself. See, that's the unity consciousness. That's what we all aspire towards, is feel oneness towards all, and generosity and giving. And there are a lot of people walking around with universal love, but they can't make a relationship work. They got to ground that. You got to test it. You got to bring it. You got to really heal it by being in an intimate relationship that brings up your stuff. Because if you don't know how to bring up your stuff and deal with it and come back to love, you can find a million reasons why you shouldn't love somebody until you process your emotions. And then you can come back to this divine love that's inside that sees the good in everybody. And then if you're with a man and you're experiencing the goodness of him, he will mirror it. Everything about men is mirroring women. It's as simple as I walk around with no complaints with my wife, and then she starts complaining about me, and this is before I learned what I'm about to tell you. She complained about me. Every complaint she had about me, I had for her. I said, but I didn't complain about it. I just let it go, because that's how men process. Just let it go. Stupid to hold on to. We just let it go. You know, how we're designed. We're designed. There's actually a part of the brain which is called hippocampus. In men, most women, it's twice as big as in men. That's the memory. Because when women are stressed, blood flow goes to that part of the brain to remember all the problems of the past, to imagine what future problems could be. So when women are stressed, they need to remember what's bothering them and feel it and express it, and so the brain can process it and be heard. So while women need to remember in order to express their feelings, men need to forget in order to feel successful. See, I can have all these failures in my past, but I could be right now in present time and do something nice, and I can forget all that. It's when I'm not doing stuff in present time, then I can start to remember all the things in my past, and that would be, makes me more like a woman. And then I start becoming part of myself, feeling bad at myself or whatever. It's like men have to learn how to manage emotions and feelings. And we'll get to that eventually. How do you process feelings, a man? How do you do it for a woman? But simply put, the simplicity of it is women need to remember, men need to forget. And then after they remember, they will forget. They can let it go. And so anytime my wife's upset with me, my fear, if I don't understand women, is she's going to hold this against me forever. Because as you know, as men, they'll bring it up again and again and again in the middle of an argument. It's just terrible how women bring stuff up. You know,
Why is that?
Because they're in a stress state, their brain goes into memory.
But literally, like, how do they keep track of things from so long ago that
They're designed to do it. See, they live in a world of fear much more than us.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you're really on your male side, I have no fears. Okay. When your testosterone goes down, your estrogen levels start to go up. That's your female side. And then you'll have fears, and you have anxieties, you have depression. Any negative thing in a man is always too much estrogen, not enough masculinity, not enough testosterone. In that moment, it can fluctuate. A guy could be walking around with no problem, like I'm with my wife and there's no problem. This is years ago. I'd fixed all this stuff. But years ago, she'd had these complaints, and I didn't fully understand that women only complain when they feel less than you. Just take that one in. This is what it's like you're walking around feeling like everything's fine. They start to feel inadequate. So I want to put you down. That's what a complaint is. Let's push him down. Let's push him down. My old joke for this was men spend their whole lives climbing the ladder. They get married, and her job is to knock it down. It's connection. If she's not feeling good, she's going to bring it down. So if she has a complaint, already it's because she's not getting something she needs, and she's a little upset, and he's all feeling so good. He needs to not feel good. They're not conscious of it, but that's really what's going on.
So it's like an unconscious need for coherence.
That's connection,
right? There's
I can't connect with you when you're feeling so good,
right? So there's like a lack of resonance. You're out of tune in a sense, and so it's an unconscious effort to bring
connection,
the connection back.
And if I complain, I'm behind a woman's complaints often is I'm suffering and I'm unhappy. Mm-hmm. You can't be happy.
Interesting.
And it's not like it's all unconscious. So,
yeah.
But just from the conscious point of view, if some people may not want to buy that because they don't understand what goes on inside of them. But what's also happening whenever complaints are there is their estrogen levels are low. This is a very biological thing. Estrogen goes up when you feel I have what I need. I feel safe. I have what I need. And then when you add to that, like my wife can be happy on her own. This is the theme of my book for women only. It's your job, women, is to be happy and let him make you happier. Don't make a man the source of your happiness. He's the source of your higher happiness. It's your job to find your happiness. Mm-hmm. Then man's job is, simply put, is easy. All I have to do is make her happier. And that's what men have to understand. And it's a key thing. My wife's unhappy. I don't ever take it personally. I go, that's her job. It doesn't mean I don't care or I blame her or whatever. None of that. I would never say that if she's blaming me for something. I would say, well, I'm not responsible for your problems. I'll listen. Just listen. And then her estrogen will go up and she can't have any blame for me. She'll just let it go. She comes back to being in love with me. Mm-hmm. This is why we men unknowingly sabotage our relationships by trying to change our wives when they're upset rather than learning these basic skills. And one of the skills is listening. It's a very big one. learning how to do it. And it doesn't mean you listen for more than 10 minutes because it will start building up. And so, I mean, one, it could be putting you to sleep, but if you're feeling blamed, then you start feeling a little annoyed and irritated.
Yeah.
You contain and you suck it up. And I've told my wife, anytime she sees me complaining, because occasionally I'll complain about something, I told her, what I want you to say to me is suck it up. I just love that phrase. It's kind of right. Yes. What am I doing? I'm going to my female side, get out of that mode. And suck it up is such a good phrase because literally suck it up means pull your abs in. And that makes huge testosterone.
Oh, wow.
Just suck up your testosterone. Just suck it in, hold it in.
So I got a question for you that I wanted to ask.
I would never tell my wife to suck it up. Okay, she doesn't need more testosterone. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
insult.
Don't worry about it is not an effective
never
response.
Works. Never works. Never works.
Why are you worrying about that? That doesn't matter. That's not a big deal. Yeah. Wrong answer. But the thing I'm curious about, we're talking about everything, you're sharing and we're talking about here is we're talking about biology, right? You have a male and you have a female.
Yes.
What I've always wondered is in same-sex relationships where you have two women or two men, for example, how do these dynamics play out? Like, how could your work be applied to that? Because there's so much sameness, right? We're talking about how to capitalize on our differences and actually make the unit stronger. But when there is biological sameness, how do you work with that? Because there's going to be the energetics, obviously, of polarity there, but there's still biology.
I don't like to step out of my lane.
Okay.
And my lane is based on my life experience.
Got it.
And then 45 years of counseling men and women.
Okay.
So I don't really know all those dynamics. And
Fair.
I can project a little bit. And we just don't have a lot of research to back up what my possible ideas would be, so I wouldn't dare go into those. But I can give you some research. And that is when you think about divorce, who do you think has the most divorce?
I have no idea, but my
gay
guess
men,
would be
gay women,
lesbians would be my guess.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Because I know how difficult it could be to get along with women. Imagine two women. Oh my God. How do you guys handle each other?
Who do you think has the longest marriages?
Probably gay men.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
We don't need to talk about feelings. We don't need to get in arguments. We just want to make sense with each other.
We want peace.
Yeah, I just want peace. Just let me be.
Yeah, I just want peace.
And so I understand. I'm another guy. Just give him peace. Give him peace. There's a sort of a new age thing about men don't want to be, just these workers and providers and do things for women. We want you to love us and let us love our being, who we are. And while that's a real nice sounding thing, I want my efforts to be appreciated, not my being. But ultimately, there is one place I want my being to be seen, which is let me be. Just let me be. And for women, let her be. Mm-hmm. See, this is the essence, but it's just simply, that's a non-doing anything. It's just let somebody be. Don't love my being. I don't need you to love my being. My being doesn't need your love, but I need you to let me be and love me without trying to change me.
Yes.
And for me as a man,
like acceptance.
It's acceptance.
Yeah.
It's again, when I go through everything, it's through the filters of 40 years of men and women. Men just want acceptance. And by the way, acceptance is a major testosterone producer. Women on the surface want acceptance. Of course, everybody wants acceptance, but on a hormonal level, women want understanding. They want to, don't just accept me, understand me, understand why I'm this way.
How I feel.
It's understand how I feel.
Yes.
It's men do, women feel. Those are the key factors, big differences.
I like that.
So love what I do. It's enough. It's more than enough sometimes. That's good enough. It's just like, let me be, please. Just stay out of my cave. And then women go, well, he can just do what he wants. Yeah, that's the point of being with somebody you love. They can do what they want and you can do what you want. Well, then how do I get him out of his cave? Because it is true. The idea of cave, for those who have read Men Are From Mars, is men go to work, they run out of testosterone if they're producing a lot of adrenaline. And I have the research showing that, is that solving problems produces testosterone. But if you're in the adrenaline state, your testosterone goes much higher and you become depleted. That's why successful work, we're pumping high adrenaline here. more, maybe I'm not even feeling any adrenaline, but just dopamine makes testosterone. Dopamine is you're needed and you're challenged. But then you can get, like if I have a time deadline or whatever, it's going to go adrenaline. And adrenaline is higher testosterone, disconnection from emotions completely. And you run out of testosterone and you need to rebuild testosterone. And you do it by being alone, doing something that challenges you, that has no stressful consequence if you're not successful. Something you're good at, but like, let's say I mean, for me, it's meditation. I mean, that's the ultimate, most ancient testosterone builder on the planet. Every culture has always taught men to meditate. And what is meditation? Forget your problems and be quiet.
Yeah.
Just men.
When I meet guys that don't meditate, I'm like, how have you not offed yourself? Like, honestly.
Well, what they do other things.
Okay.
They work out in the gym.
Right.
Okay, they're using their muscles.
Which I don't do.
Okay. You're right. Me neither. So you work out in the gym, and what you do in the gym is not going to cause danger to you later in life. When you go to work, if you don't do your job, you can lose money and life falls apart. So there's always a stress element to that. Mm-hmm. So you're stressing your muscles, but there's no real danger. You're challenging yourself. It could be, some guys have hobbies, they're rebuilding a car, some guys have train sets. It doesn't even matter. My theme for women is anything that a woman thinks is a waste of time is great testosterone booster for a man. But the problem with that is that often men can go in their cave and it feels so good, you just stay in your cave. And so my new book teaches women how to get a man out of the cave. Okay? And simply put, although
take your clothes off.
Yes. Okay. But usually if he's in his cave too long, she doesn't feel like taking her clothes off.
Right. So there's not, because the connection is starting to dissipate.
See, if she's feeling disconnected, her estrogen's very low. She can't feel romantic feelings. Sex is, to a certain extent, for most women, disgusting. And you have to realize, disgusting if her estrogen levels aren't 10 times higher than yours. Then she starts getting turned on when they start going higher. So when they double, she's ready to be penetrated. And she wants you I'd say at least double what you want her. Double. That's my wife. I mean, wow. she loves sex with me, and I just have to say no. Like I just finished I just finished a 5-day fast, and I said, look, I can't do it because I got all my body's going to, when you're on a fast, you get to cleanse your body's regenerating itself and so forth. People go, how do you have such high testosterone in your 70s? My libido is greater than it's ever been. That's another subject to talk about, but it's all about healthy testosterone. And we can talk about why it goes down in men and women, but we're still covering just sort of the basics of, road rage. This is men being violent or really angry. And it typically happens when men take testosterone. So you think, how does he have road rage when he takes testosterone? What happens is if you take testosterone, you didn't earn it. See, my testosterone, because I feel confident and capable and successful. So if you didn't make your testosterone based on I'm confident, capable, and successful, then it's easy to lose confidence because you haven't really earned it. So it's not like testosterone makes you confident. You're confident, testosterone goes up. But you can feel confident because you're making testosterone, but then somebody just cuts you off and makes you feel like they're more powerful than you. You feel triggered, you feel controlled, don't control me. And what happens in that moment is testosterone aromatases into estrogen. So he gets a peak of estrogen, and that's what causes road rage. Unearned testosterone converting into estrogen. Now, the same thing could happen. Let's say I come home, I love my family, and I need to my wife wants me to listen to her and talk. It just exhausts me because I don't have testosterone, and now I'm connecting with her. My estrogen's going up. And as my estrogen's going up, it doesn't help testosterone go up. I'm going into her world. So when men's estrogen goes up, testosterone tends to go down unless you're turned on or unless you're solving a problem for her. When you're solving a problem for her and you're feeling very successful, your testosterone rises and estrogen goes up as well. The only time you can literally recover and listen to a woman without testosterone going down, if she's very clear that she needs your help and she's not blaming you. So if I came home and there's a leaky roof and my wife says, "Oh my God, there's a puddle of water in the living room. We got to do something." Instantly, my testosterone go up. Urgency. I need to help her and do something. But then after that, because it takes adrenaline to kick it up, I would have to go to my cave again to do something that would rebuild my testosterone. Now, another thing that can do it is for a guy is watching the news and watching football. See, these are all okay. We have our meditation thing, but when you watch the news, you're hearing other people's problems, but it's not your problem. So you're not, you're forgetting your own problems and looking at their problems. And you're also, many times you listen to stupid things. People do stupid things. You feel smarter than those people. So already, you're analyzing them. You're solving problems. It's like, I like to watch the news. I watch it about this war that's going on. I'm trying to figure out how to solve this thing. So as long as I'm trying to figure out how to solve it, I'm making testosterone. As long as I'm hearing other people's problems, I'm forgetting my own problems. So this is the idea. You have to literally forget your problems temporarily. And we have a lot of strategies for doing that, which is one of them is there's a problem. And this is during the day. I'm out of my cave, but something's stressing me out. It says, okay, what am I going to do about this? Just coming here was interesting. I'm giving a talk at the Dave Asprey this afternoon. And it's really wonderful for me because, I've aged. Not everybody recognizes. It's fun to be recognized sometimes. But I just did the Dave Asprey show. And these are all Dave Asprey fans. So this is like 5,000 people all just got this video. I was with one guy at the elevator. He says, "You're John Gray." I watched that show 3 times, Yeah. I've never watched a Dave Asprey show 3 times, This is like, but there's so much information. People watch this again and again and again because we're covering huge amounts of life transformational information.
I wasn't exaggerating when you walked in and we started saying you changed my life and my relationship. I owe so much to the success of my marriage, to stuff I've learned from you. This is our fourth. Yeah, this is our fourth interview that have all been, long, deep dives like this. And I'm someone who, for whatever reason, I'm just wired when I hear a principle that really lands with me, I grab it and I use it and I apply it and I try it out.
Well, you see,
and if it works, it just gets integrated into my character and it's just what I do now. Like the listening thing. Another thing I got from you early on was, listening to your woman, right? But then you think they're done sharing what they need to share, their feelings, moving that energy.
There's always more.
There's always more.
There's always.
We've been doing this the whole relationship. She comes home, oh, this girl did this, that, she has something going on socially or whatever that's stressing her out. She tells me about it. I sit down, I make sure that I'm, have cleared myself enough, had a little cave time so I can really be present for that, right? And she'll tell me, and I just shut up and listen. I open my heart. I'm just loving on her. And she'll be done. She's like, okay, that's it. And I go, is there anything else? Is there more? No, that's it. Well, actually, there's always more. It'll take, 2 to 4 rounds of is there more before she's like, okay, I'm totally done. And then at that point, I'm like, would you like any feedback? I might have some ideas to share. You open to that.
Always asking.
Oh, yeah. I don't say shit.
Never minimizing. Never minimizing.
Oh, no.
My gosh.
Well, that's another thing, actually, that I wanted to talk to you about. So you're a longtime meditator, right? I think we kind of share worldview in that way of
55 years.
Okay, you got 25 on me or so, right? So the idea that the way I look at it, at least, is I'm building that witness perspective, the observer perspective, to where there's an aspect of myself that is able to watch the phenomenon of my feelings and my thoughts and whatever is happening with the persona of me, right? So learning how to not take my thoughts as fact or truth and being able to disengage from them and question their validity, right? So I have a thought about something, my mind says blah, 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 and there's a me that's been meditating for a while going, is that really true, or is that just the mind playing a game, right? So if my wife is sharing some things going on and I'm coming from that kind of higher perspective, it's tempting for me to go, well, that's just your mind. Don't listen to your mind. Like you said, forget about it. That thing that happened today, that's not important.
That's right.
Your mind's just grabbing onto it, but that doesn't work for her. Like it works for me. If I had some
I
drama,
mean, she doesn't need to witness herself, right?
yeah. Well,
You see what happens is she's sharing because you're witnessing her. She can witness it. Women can't witness their feelings.
okay.
That they have to sort of get them out. That's why they have to talk. If they
Okay.
talk, they can, or when they journal. Journaling's a big deal. Okay, when you can write out what your feelings, express them on paper. Now you can see them better. That's me over there. That's how women see themselves, is in that mirror. So
Okay.
if you're mirroring her, okay, if you're taking in what she says, receiving it, if it lands inside of you, she can then see herself through that. If a woman is sharing with a guy and he's not really letting it come in, he's busy thinking, well, that's wrong. Well, she should do that. She should do that. What's happening is it's not landing, so she's not going to hear herself. A simple takeaway with this for couples when they argue, although my books explain why you never need to argue. Okay, but you can be honest and open. You can solve all these problems. That's a big one to solve. But there's a common thing where couples argue, and men will have the last word. See, it's sort of a dominant thing of masculinity. It's the worst thing you can ever do. Strategy. If a woman has the last word, because all words in an argument are really negative and doesn't make you feel good. Okay, so let the woman always have the last word. And then when she walks away, she's going to be hearing herself. If you're the last word, then all she's going to be doing is defending herself against your last word.
Oh, wow.
You're
That's
creating
good.
a space for her to hear herself. Now, that's a little example when there's arguments and whatever. In my work, again, I got fixes for everything, and they're all in the new book for women only. See, men don't have to read it. A woman can completely bring out your best side because she just has to be the person. She has to have the feelings that you will automatically mirror. I'll just say this again. I said it earlier. I just remember my wife used to complain, and I would just listen to it, and she'd say, you always forget to do this. And I go, well, you always forget to do that too. It's like we're going to bounce back always. We'll always have a complaint. If she has a complaint, we'll have a complaint because we mirror her. If she learns how to not complain, we'll have no complaints. Now, what I've also learned in my life is complaints are destructive to me. At least I can think them. But what you're getting at here is I don't believe them.
Yeah.
Now, let me explain the biology of never believe your thoughts. It gives you more edge to realize that I know this is true, but I'm completely full of it. Okay, now how do I know that? Anytime you have a negative feeling associated with a thought, whether this be man or woman, your thinking is wrong. Your thinking is causing you pain.
Yeah.
Who's causing you pain? You. Why are you causing your pain? Because you're not connected to truth.
Yes.
So your thinking is wrong. It may have some parts of it might be true.
It's a perceptual problem.
How you're interpreting perception.
Yeah. So like what I was getting at, okay, I go out in the world, this person cut me off in traffic, somebody was rude at the bank, right?
Yeah.
And then if I'm on my way home, I'll see that witness part of me will see that the mind is trying to latch on to that and make meaning out of it. In other words, my perception is starting to create a story around that. But there's a wiser part of me that says that story's not true. That's the mind making up a story.
And that's Luke's story told you, folks.
But therefore, by the time I get home, I've already let it go.
And it's important.
Because I know it's a phantom. It's not real. And so it's just like, I don't want that. But if I go to my wife who had the same experience and she comes home and I'm like, that's just your mind. Just forget about it.
Tell her that.
Right? It doesn't work.
Doesn't work. No, they have to tell the story out loud.
Okay.
And have somebody
this is really important, especially for, people that share this kind of model of like, wow, okay, let's not always, it's like Byron Katie, the mind says something, you say, is that true? You go, oh shit, that's not true. I'm letting it go. It's over. The problem over.
Yeah, the problem with Byron, I know her personal life, and I've talked with her, and she says, well, I don't need my husband at all. See, what she has done with that. See, that's a really good concept. Concepts can be really good, but if you just go in that one lane, you might be missing a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And so if you can process everything, anytime you're upset about anything, you can do what Byron says, which is good. What story am I telling myself? What's another story I would tell myself? I do all that work too. But it's now you come back to love, and you realize that even though I just let go of all these negative thoughts and feelings, I still need love. And if I don't get love, I'm going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
It's food. I need food. I need oxygen. We need each other. And we can get caught up into so much. I can be happy on my own that I don't need a man. So the theme of the new book for men are from Mars, women are from Venus, for women only. It's like so much more advanced than my other books. The subtitle is Be Happy. So she'll tell you how to be happy, but the subtitle is Be Happy with a man or without a man. Because if you can't be happy without a man, you have to be first, even though you're in a relationship, you have to be happy without depending on that guy, and then become happier you depend on him. And that whole teaching can push you in the wrong direction if you don't have that extra little piece.
Yeah, yeah.
Because so many women today are, what do I need a man for? And you can't feel love unless you can feel I need you. And that's like counter to so many. It's up and down. Down is up. It's when you're hungry and somebody feeds you, you'll always truly feel love. And just for fun, because we have sort of an esoteric audience, I've spent 18 trips to India. I've been all around. I studied the whole thing. Been to China 18 times. I'm Tai Chi master, all that stuff. I've learned all these different things. But the most important thing is loving my family and my children, just to put it in that perspective, that those things have helped me. But in India, they have these beggars, these spiritual people who don't have any possessions. So they have a little bowl and they need you for food. And the whole part of that tradition is when you get a very advanced soul, they can't feel what they need. See, you're so happy within yourself. What do I need? Once you're one with God, God does everything, right? If you really are the witness, God does everything. You're not doing anything. I never feel I do anything. Okay, it's just like I have no idea what I'm going to say next. I'm listening to myself talk along with you, which is going to be captivating when I give talks, because if you have a talk you've done over and over, it gets kind of boring, to the audience, even if they've never heard it. It's just remembering something rather than being something. But anyway, so you get to a very high meditative state. This is one way they dealt with it. Their culture is then you become a sadhu. You give up all attachments. You're able to then reconnect with the divine self because you're not being drawn out, you're being drawn in. So then, because you don't have food, you have your little bowl and you are hungry and your body needs food. So you reach out with a little bowl. And if it's a real sadhu, you will be blessed. That's how you get, it's like a cycle. You're giving me what I need, and then I feel genuine love on the physical plane for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that little whatever. You are then blessed. So it's a way the spiritual people would bless the not so spiritual people.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know that.
Wild thing. It's a circulation. And
that's cool.
You could go around, you could tell who are the real sadhus and who are just people being irresponsible and not taking responsibility for their life. Because you give them something and they want more. They want more and more and more.
Right.
As opposed to, thank you so much. Whatever you give, a penny, thank you so much. A banana, thank you so much. Some little thing is a big deal to them because they're in their high spiritual state, but their body needs that food. Their gratitude then blesses you. So the whole thing is going around testing. And I would do this. I go around and test who are the real ones. And the only real ones were usually in the woods. And I was in one holy place and they're like these beggars, and I gave it to one, and he attacked me every time. He attacked my wife. They own you once to get money from him. It was just like dangerous, They literally, my wife was really mad at me. She should never given money to that guy. He thinks he owns me, So it's like, again, because these are just men who didn't earn their money, so they're needy and whatever. It's very different from a real sadhu, a real saint who's connecting with the divine but needs food, and their need brings out the best of people. So this is, as I'm describing that's the perfect relationship of a man and woman, is a woman has to feel her need, then she can feel love. And if she's feeling love and you feel love, I need you, you did something for me, now I feel gratitude, I feel appreciation, I feel safe, I feel trust. These are all things men need most. And as she's feeling that, that's food for our soul. The reason it works so well is when she needs help, and he provides help, and there's no blame inside of her, no message of that wasn't enough. So at that point, our mirror neurons turn on, and that creates the witness state in us. The state you're practicing. Wow. That's how you get the witness state. Wow. Your brain is blank.
Yeah.
And you could be totally present with a woman.
Yes.
And when it's your wife, somebody you love, because you have a connection, you're totally present. Now, what mirror neurons do is they allow you to feel what somebody's feeling. If she's feeling love, and my mirror neurons open up, now I can feel her love. So a woman could say in her head, I appreciate him so much, but I can't let it in, and nor is she fully feeling it. Because to the extent a woman blames her husband, she can't fully feel her feelings. Okay, she feels victim. She can have positive feelings, but also negative feelings. And as soon as you have negative feeling towards your partner, his mirror neurons will close down. This is why with the ideal Venus talk is the basic rules is 10 minutes. It can go longer, but in the beginning, 10 is how most men can do. So he can feel, part of that is he knows there's an end to it. See, a lot of guys think that when their wives get talking, it just goes on and on and on. So he doesn't know what the end point is. Testosterone crashes. So it's 10 minutes. What's his job? I just need you to listen, not say anything. Don't fix anything. Don't say anything. Just hear me, and I'll feel better. So the first one is she's not blaming. She informs him, is that he doesn't have to say anything. Because even when my daughter's talking to me, grown-up daughter, there's like this test that I have to do at the end of everything. I'm supposed to say something sympathetic and what, you're supposed to, oh, that really feels bad. It's really hard to say it really feels bad when you think it's no big deal.
So like, how do you do that authentically?
That's right. You can't do it authentically.
Yeah, because like, that wouldn't bother me.
Exactly. So, but you care, but you can't like feel bad. But so that I worked it out. It's just to basically say, and this is in my book, Women, give men an easy way to respond to you. Don't expect some woman who's going to respond, I know just how you feel, and I feel this, and da-da-da-da. He doesn't. Don't expect at him. Because if you do, he's thinking the whole time, how am I going to respond to this? Once he gets over the idea that I don't have to solve anything for her, even still, your brain will do a little bit of that. Then the next thing you do is you get into, now how am I going to respond to this? Because I can't authentically feel empathy for something that I don't really get upset about that very thing. So the answer is, and it works once a woman realizes the logic of it. She has to understand the logic of it. We're different guys. We're logical. He's listening to you. But his mirror neurons are open. So therefore, he can receive what you're saying, and then he'll feel love back. He'll feel, and the love he feels is compassion. Okay, he doesn't necessarily say, I feel the same way. Two women feel the same way. I don't feel the same way, but I feel a compassion, which is a higher level of love than empathy. Empathy is two people saying, yeah, we both suffer together. Compassion is, and you can measure the brain with this when a man's hearing a woman, is 50% of his limbic system is activated. For a woman, the full system. 50% will be activated in him, never all, unless he's way on his female side and fight or flight and everything. And then it's not really empathy, but it's emotional. So he will experience about 50% of a woman's empathy, and then blood flow simultaneously goes to his prefrontal cortex to be optimistic. Because, when a woman's upset, first thing you have is, okay, how can I solve this? So he'll go up in optimism. And then it will activate another part of his brain, which is about motivation and action. So the difference between empathy is we could feel empathy and just share with each other, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go home and devote my life to you. That's what compassion is. This is what women need so much. They need a man to be compassionate who's devoted to them. Once you get compassion, now you have devotion. And all it takes to kick you out of that is men's testosterone goes down. He cannot feel those emotions. He can love her. He can, quote, be devoted to her, but he doesn't feel it. He doesn't have the motivation. Men's motivation goes down, down, down now like that. And it will naturally do that. That's a law of thermodynamics, is if you don't put order into a system, it becomes disorderly. Mm-hmm. You have to keep generating the same emotions and hormones you felt in the beginning. And you can't do that without knowing how to do that. It doesn't automatically happen. If you leave a house untended, it just disintegrates. It's just bugs come, it gets eaten up, it's done. You have to do the things you did in the beginning to create the things later. But you can't do the things you did in the beginning. It's impossible. The things you did in the beginning were motivated by a hormone that you're never going to be able to produce again, which is dopamine. See, newness in a relationship stimulates high testosterone in men. Newness stimulates dopamine, which stimulates high estrogen in a woman if she's present, feels connected to a man. Newness, dopamine doesn't produce high estrogen in a woman if she feels she doesn't have help. But if a woman anticipates help and she has dopamine, estrogen rises, testosterone rises. And that's why for romance, often couples will go somewhere new and different. See, going on a date. And then the next thing on a date is somebody's cooking for her. So she doesn't have to do anything. He does everything for her. And he provides other people to do things for her, but he takes credit for it because I'm paying those people, and she gives him credit because he's paying.
That would explain why sometimes you feel more horny when you're somewhere other than your house in your day-to-day routine, right?
Yeah, it's new and different. New and different.
That's interesting.
So
I always wonder that. Like, you go on vacation, okay, you're less stressed, you're not distracted. And
no, it's the new and different. It's the new and different stimulation. Funny. And for women, it's not just new and different. It has to be new and different in service to her or helping her.
Quick question for you. If you get a cut, burn, or some kind of skin irritation, what's your first move? Is it alcohol that fries your skin, peroxide that kills good cells too, or maybe some petroleum-based ointment that seals everything up and literally traps what's in there? It blows my mind what we've been trained to put on broken skin. And here's the truth. Your body already has the system for healing. So instead of interfering, what if you just supported that system? Well, that's what active skin repair is all about. The key ingredient is something called hypochloric acid. It cleanses the area, calms inflammation, and supports recovery without damaging healthy tissue or your skin barrier. And don't let the name throw you off. The acid bit, it's actually a molecule your white blood cells naturally produce to fight infection and speed healing. So when you use active skin repair, you're not forcing some synthetic solution. You're just giving your body more of what it already uses. So if you want to deal with those cuts, scrapes, burns, and especially here in Texas, bug bites, here's what you do. Go to lukestory.com/skin repair and use the code Luke at checkout and get a fat 20% off your order. And if you want a deep dive on active skin repair, check out Lifestylist episode 664 at lukestory.com/skincare. That episode has all of the science, all the data, all the things. You'll love it if you're a geek. Or you can just jump right to it, and believe me when I say you will not regret trying this product. When you're ready to try it for yourself, hit up lukestory.com/skin repair. And again, that Luke code will save you 20%.
See, I could just, let me be, I can just sit at home and just eat at home all the time. I don't need to go out for meat, okay? I don't even have to eat. I just finished a 5-hour fast, so whatever. But for her, they need to eat, they need to go out, they need different outfits, they need to shop, they need to go out and, and shopping is a big estrogen stimulator. It's seeing what she has and what she doesn't have and the freedom to pick and choose and so forth. It's awareness of me. You see, oh, I like that, or I don't like that. Trying on different outfits. I learned this first. This is a Men Are From Mars thing. It was taking my wife shopping, and she could try on 6 outfits and not buy anything and walk out happy. How can that happen? If I go, I feel like I wasted my time if I didn't buy what my goal is. I find it, I shoot it, I kill it, I bring it home. She just tried on outfits. And why did that make her feel good? Because she got to feel what she likes, what she doesn't like. It's like looking at herself. Mm-hmm. This is all for women, is come back to themselves. And we're perfect because we mirror them. Okay, so if she's happy, I'll be happy she's happy. Now she's happier. So this is the only challenge for women when they read the book, but I help them understand this, is that all the problems in the past are because of you. There's no question about it. Now, if you went to a sales meeting and you're not getting clients, whose fault is it? You. They all accept that, but nobody wants to accept it in relationships because women don't understand how they don't use their superpower, their wisdom, to bring out the best in a man. Nobody's ever taught them. Culture did it for women before. All you had to do is say, I just want babies and a man who can earn. And I wouldn't give him sex until he could earn and be capable of raising a child with me. And then I'd have sex with him. And so she had her requirements. Women don't have requirements anymore. No boundaries. They've lost their self-respect. They became like men. Men were getting all the respect, so I'm going to be like a man to get respect. Women are the ones we always respected. Every man, why did you get married? You got married because there's a woman who turned you on, finally would have sex with you. That's it. Real bottom line, animalistic part of us. That's a big part of it, Yeah. And she also did a lot of other factors, of course, but there's the chemistry and everything of two people fitting together. But the bottom line is, as a young guy, when the rules used to be you can't have sex unless you marry a woman, until you're committed to a woman. I'm not saying this is the case. I mean, this young guy at the elevator this morning at the conference, he said, I listened to that video of you 3 times. And the woman says, yeah, you liked it? He says, yeah, now I know how to get laid now. Well, there's a little bit of higher teaching here.
Yeah.
But to men, it's easy to get laid. You learn my skills, you can get laid right away. But if women learn my skills, you learn how to put off just having sex right away. It's very, very important for women to not just jump into bed with somebody. It only hurts your soul. And unfortunately, if we had more time to go into it, it hurts a man's soul too. And eventually, it weakens his ability to truly appreciate a woman. And,
yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah. I mean, you can heal it, but so we went off all kinds of tangents here.
It's all good. I do have one more question for you before we run out of time here. And it's around what you were talking about earlier, where if a problem wouldn't bother me like it bothers my wife, it's a bit more difficult to find that empathy, right? Because I'm like, I can't relate. I'm like, what's the big deal? So the one example that I thought of was in my wife, her relationships outside of our marriage are really important, and a lot of her feelings of happiness, safety are intrinsically connected to those relationships. Whereas I have a little drama with someone, I don't like someone, there's a splinter in a friend group, I don't really care, I just move on. It's like, big deal, I just forget about them, and so I've had to learn, wow, this is, her relationships are, her core, relationships are really important to her. And if there's something out of alignment there, it's much more meaningful to her than it would be for me. And so I've had
a lot of words to say, yeah, you don't relate to it.
Yeah, I have to transpose myself and, well, let me imagine what that would feel like, because it doesn't really happen to me that way.
So here's the first step in doing that.
The question more is like, are outside relationships and the social cohesion more important to women than they are to men?
Well, I made that point earlier. There's a whole chapter in the book on what a man can give you and what a woman can give you.
Okay.
We cannot give women what women can give each other. And you can't fully receive a man unless you get your estrogen up without depending on a man 10 times more than a man's. So that you get from other women. And there's a shortage of women having the time to spend with other women. Okay.
Got it.
And sharing with other women. And then they don't consciously do this, but they then want you to be another woman and share your feelings and reflect back and all that. But the practical solution, when she understands this, then she has a greater awareness of, I can't put everything on him. And I never finished that point, which is, what do you do when she's talking and you can't sincerely go, oh, that's terrible, I feel terrible for you, that's awful, I get it, when you don't feel that. So you can't authentically respond, and then they can sense you're not being authentic. You don't care. Okay, so you have a basic thing where you don't talk, because tone of voice reveals all your feelings. So you can't fake a tone of voice, but what you can say is, I hear you. Keep it short. And let that be enough, women. When she's sharing, I hear you. And if there's a problem you want solved, then that's a Mars talk.
Mm-hmm.
If you have emotions and you need to be heard, that's a Venus talk. Don't introduce solutions to that. Then when you go to Mars talk, she's basically knowing you're talking to somebody who's going to be completely logical, and you learn how to keep a conversation logical. And she has to learn how to keep her emotions out of it. So if emotions come up in trying to solve a problem, are we going to go here on vacation or here on vacation? We're going to spend this much money here, what our investment's going to be. These are charged topics. I wrote these 6 books. The book, which is How to Talk So a Man Will Listen, covers arguments. That's a big subject. You have to get the fundamentals down of really understanding how we're different. And so, but for men in stress, in your Luke story, you talk about the story, and if ever you're stressed, there is a story going on inside of you that's the wrong way of telling the story. There's a better story. There's a better story you need to tell yourself. But you can't change the story until you're aware of the story. So you're an enlightened guy. We're more connected to our female sides. So we're going to have a bigger story than some guys who can just go to the gym and forget it all. Okay, so now you're having a disagreement with your spouse. You didn't get what you wanted. She's not getting what she wants. Now you're not getting what you want, which is a happy woman. And so you take time. Anytime you get to a certain point in an argument, this is a really good takeaway story for everybody, too, for men and for women. But when you start to get in an argument with your spouse, and couples argue a lot. A lot of couples will argue when they don't understand the differences. He's going to start getting angry. Now, when he starts to get angry, women basically go into this mode of asking questions. Why would you feel that way? Well, why would you do that? Well, why do you think that's better? Why did you do this then? But before you did that, you didn't. Their brain just goes into question mode. Question mode is a way a woman avoids feelings. Okay, when a woman, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Yeah, you're pissed off at him. I'm angry that you didn't do this. But rather than feel the anger, it's not safe for them. They don't know how to feel their deep emotions. They'll just go right into their head and go, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Particularly some women all the time, but other women, if you're starting to get in an argument, she's going to want to push down her feelings, because if you get upset with a man, that can make him more upsetting. So she'll naturally start going into her head against the need to share her feelings. But it's not safe to share her feelings. He's getting annoyed, irritated, bothered. So they get suppressed. As a woman, what you suppress will go into your partner. You can see this with your kids. On days when you're stressed, you push down your feelings, your kids act out. Same thing with your husband. When you push down those emotions, he'll start to, doesn't know why, but I'm getting all irritated around this woman who seems to be acting so positive. But no, you push down emotions, it affects your environment to various degrees. Okay, now as a man, I can't blame her for that, because if it's coming up in me, it's still me. It just triggered some stuff inside of me. So you can't like blame your partner. You're suppressing and that's causing me to feel this way. It's not that. But it does trigger a man. So she is basically upset. And whenever a woman's upset, she's not trusting him. Because everything about estrogen is, I have the support I need. I can trust you. Everything that a man needs is to feel a woman trusts him. When you trust me, like you're doing this interview with me because you trust my ideas, you read my book, that just raises my testosterone. Now, if a woman feels I can trust a man, her estrogen goes up. What raises estrogen in women is what you've been talking about, is demonstrating caring, doing things to say, I care about you, listening to her, I understand what's going on, I don't judge you, I'm not criticizing you, and I respect you. So I honor you. Now, respect can, we have a, if somebody's really good at something, as a man, I really respect them, okay? I feel like I can trust them, all right? So trust goes along with respect. But if you look at respect as a verb, that's what women need. To respect their sensitivities, to respect their overreactions, to understand that she's living in a stressful world. She's going through what, this or this or this. She needs help. When somebody needs help and you help them, what are you doing? Respecting them. This is what women need most. Men don't need respect the most. What men need is the precursors to feeling respected. And the reason I say that is because I see the most dysfunctional men always demand more respect. I see the most dysfunctional women always demand more appreciation. You don't appreciate me. You don't appreciate me. And yet, what do men need most? What builds testosterone? Appreciation. Here's this woman. She's unhappy. She's on her male side demanding what a man needs. It's not going to help her become more feminine. It's not going to lower her stress. And I hear a man over there, it's basically, he's demanding, I want respect. He's on his female side. And when you kind of talk to our history, we got out of balance. Men stopped respecting women. So when women stop being respected, then men become more and more dysfunctional. Because the only way you can become a man worthy of respect is to honor the female side, to honor the people who need help. So a great man helps other people. His life becomes selfless, helping other people. And that's by respecting others. And it's very much confused. In every book on gender differences, women, you have to respect your man. That will just make you codependent. When you respect someone, you make their needs more important than your own. You serve them like a mother with a child and so forth.
Wow.
And that's good when you have a child.
Yeah.
And women are designed to do that. But for children, for people who need help, you respect them in that way. And then there's this other word, respect as a noun, is that, you're respectable to me because you've done all these things. But that's not a need that I have. The need that I have when somebody respects me is trust. I trust you. I also accept you. You give me advice. I'll follow it. I accept that. Or I'm not trying to change you. Somebody does something really wonderful for you. You don't tell them, hey, you left your shoes on the floor. You don't complain about stuff when you truly accept someone. We talked about, so I summarize, this is actually a minute from Mars. These are fundamental ideas that it's expanded, but what are the messages that increase testosterone in men? He's trusted, he's accepted, and he's appreciated. But it's if he didn't earn the appreciation, it's fake appreciation. If you're just pretending to accept, but you're holding on negative emotions, it's not really acceptance. But you can behave in an accepting way, but you have to realize if I'm having these suppressed feelings, I need to know how to process them. I need to be able to feel what I feel and let it go. And women have to learn to let go, just like men learn to let go, but they do it in a different way. They share their feelings. They go to a coach, they go to a friend, they talk about something, somebody just to listen. You don't have to fix it. Then that helps to, let me give an amazing concept. When you share that I'm upset about something and somebody's not upset, if somebody's not getting all upset, then you feel safe. All you need is to feel safe and your stress goes down. Stress hormones is just, I don't feel safe. So if I can tell you all my problems and you just sit there like, yeah, I understand, I know, I can see, I know you're going to get through this. Just, you have a sense of safety in the presence of all of that, that person will calm down. So when your mirror neurons are open, when she's sharing, you can do that as a man and you automatically go into that witness state to a more greater, without all the meditation and spirituality, your mind becomes empty. If she says, I don't, you need to solve it. You're already successful by doing nothing. And that's Zen, the do nothing doing. And this is like a perfect thing, men and women, just a woman being able to share her feelings. And now, but let's say she triggers me, and so I get triggered. And that will happen to men. We all have childhood issues, so they get triggered. We just overreact. Most people don't remember their childhood at all. But just know it's your past coming up. So then what I would do at that time, what I have to learn to do, and couples have to learn to do, is when a man is starting to get angry, nothing good can happen. Already, she's going to go into a stress state because the only time there was violence is men being angry. Okay, so now she's in danger. It's in the genes. Angry man is not safe. So what a woman will do is all kinds of reactions, but one most common is to ask you questions and get you to talk. Now, why would she want you to talk? Because for her, talking is a way to calm down, to lower stress. So let me get him to talk. Every word a man says, once he's in a stress state, makes him more stressed. It's like you gave a great example. If I start talking about this problem, I just feel worse. It's just terrible. I was writing another book. I was writing a cute story. This guy, Daryl, was putting in the sound system in my new house I bought once Men Are From Mars was successful. So I wanted like sound in every room, stupid thing, but from one central control, which is very complicated and everything. So he was setting it up for me. So I really didn't understand the whole setup. Well, he got sick and he was delayed. He's taking all this time. I'm getting really, really frustrated with this guy because he doesn't do what he says, which a lot of women become frustrated with guys when they don't do what they say. And there's a remedy for that. I got remedies for everything in this book for women. But so Daryl, I'm really frustrated with him and I'm mad about it. And I deal with it. It's like, okay, there's nothing I called him. I said, look, I need you to come do this thing. It's been too long. And he says, well, I can't come because I have mono. And mono, for people who don't know, it makes you really tired. There's nothing I can do to solve the problem now. So forget it. So that's the way men can deal with, one of the ways we can deal with stress. So for nothing I can do about it, forget it. And then that night I'm in bed with my wife and, all comfortable and she's thinking she's being supportive. She says, so what about the sound system? I said, another delay. She says, actually what she said is, so what's happening between you and Daryl? Instantly, I was falling asleep. Now I'm all stressed again because she reminded me of the very thing that was upsetting me. And women could say, well, you need to talk about that. No, we don't. We need to just temporarily forget it. That's it. And so now my sleep was ruined for a little while because she went on further to give the killer phrase was, well, have you called him? I say, I called him. Did you tell him how you feel? It's like, I want to tell him how I feel. It's like, so it was the opposite. She's trying to be helpful. It's not what I want. Yeah. This happens so much of the time between men and women. But this one point I want to get to, which is really, I think will be very helpful, is because you're very clear, it's the story we tell ourselves. And it's very, very easy when you're upset and I'm going to tell myself this story. It's very important. This sounds counterproductive, but to realize if you're upset, you're on your female side. You need to come back to your male side. Why do I say that? Because anytime you're upset, your estrogen's high, your testosterone's low. So you analyze. Now, analysis is also a testosterone producer. Anything that makes you detached, to analyze, you have to stand outside of. So I'm going to analyze why I'm upset. And I'll start with where I am. Is where I am whenever you're upset is you're a victim and you're blaming. So silently, I will sit there and reflect on my blame of everything my wife just said or did. Now, I won't use, I could, it might come like the B word might come up. She's being a B. That doesn't process anything. That's a stupid thing. But if that came up, I would just ignore it and go to the next thing. Well, what did she say that you don't like? What did she do that you didn't like? Try to really analyze the sentence structure. This is what I do with men. Just, I'm upset with her. She's this, she's this. I said, that doesn't do anything. What did she say? What else did she say? You have to really see the pieces of the story you're telling yourself. And then you change the story. And then you say, well, what should she have done? So write a new story. And the new story is how it would have looked, the way you wanted it to look. Now you're in solving problem mode. Okay, you're first in problem solving mode I know I have to analyze the story first. I need to flesh it out. What did she say? What did it? Then what I do is I look at what should have happened that didn't happen. Okay, now I say what she should have done is this, she should have done is this, should have done this, she didn't do this, she could have done that. Already I'm solving a problem. My testosterone's starting to come back up. Then what I look at, and what could I have done to cause her to be upset? Now I'm analyzing my behavior, okay? And then I go into what could I do so next time she would do the positive woman rather than the negative. It's all this big problem-solving session with analysis and no feelings. I'm not saying what am I angry about, what am I upset about, whatever. Not doing that at all. I'm just silently analyzing what happened, solving the problem. Testosterone comes back up, and there's no problem. Now, if I'm in the middle of an argument with my wife in the early days, we used to have these big arguments, I analyzed it. If I talk, as soon as I'm feeling stressed, if I talk, it just makes more estrogen. And this is what women have to know, is don't ask him questions. If a man's angry, don't talk. Because if you talk, he's going to talk. He's going to mirror you. Don't complain. He's going to mirror you. Everything you say. Or if you ask questions, that's even worse. Why would you do that? How can you love me? You used to love me. They'll start comparing and remembering. And well, you did this time, you did it again. The more every word he speaks is going to take him longer to be in his cave. And that's just the dynamic. Now, one fun thing, I know we go too long. There's so much. Let's talk about the title of the book.
We're living in the most advanced time in human history. So why are so many of us exhausted, wired, and barely holding it together? Back when I started this podcast in 2016, I was living under 2 cell towers in LA, and it was a nightmare. I had insomnia, migraines, blurred vision, vertigo, nausea. My system was just maxed out. It was absolutely terrible. So when I moved to Texas, I hardwired the internet, shielded our bedrooms, and did all the physical EMF mitigation you can imagine. But here's the unfortunate reality. You can't eliminate every signal unless you live in a cave. And that's what led me to Quantum Upgrade. It harmonizes the field you live in so your body stays coherent inside all that static that you can't control. And this isn't just a feeling. Their research shows improvements in HRV, brainwave balance, and cellular energy. It's pretty simple, really. If your system is under less stress, you're going to feel it, and I do. What does that look like? Well, I sleep deeper, I think more clearly, and I don't feel wrecked by my environment anymore. So if you want to upgrade your whole situation right now, here's what you do. Go to lukestory.com/quantumupgrade and use the code Luke15 to start your 15-day free trial. If you want your space working for you instead of against you, this is one of the smartest upgrades you can make. Again, that's lukestory.com/quantumupgrade, and that code is Luke15 to get 15 days totally free. You can also find those links and codes in the show description. Yeah, let's do. And also, I want to let people know the show notes for today, where we will link all of John's books, but especially the new one for women, which you're about to tell us about, can be found at lukestory.com/JohnGray4, the number 4. So anything we've talked about, John's work, and also his other 3 episodes. And there you'll also find another link in the show notes, lukestory.com/MarsVenus. And the code Luke will get you 10% off lithium orotate, which is one of my favorite supplements that I learned from you a number of years ago and have been on ever since. So all things John can be found in the show notes. Tell us about the book.
Where are they getting their lithium orotate? Is that your site?
We're getting it from you, dude.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Go to marsvenus.com. Yeah. It's right.
And that's what that link is to.
Oh, that's so
I put
cool.
that in there because you have, which I think is cool. You have a lot of recommendations and supplements that help support the biology.
Right.
And that lithium orotate, I'd never heard of it in my life until you told me about it.
And so good.
Life-changing and super cheap.
It's super cheap. And mine's a little more expensive. I'm going to tell you why. And this is why I talk about it. Everybody goes and buys the other ones. So I have to talk a little bit more about it. What lithium, first of all, lithium was given to people who are bipolar. And if you go too high, you go too low, and it stabilizes a balance. But there are all these side effects from it, which is why it had to be prescribed. Lithium carbonate is what was given. And lithium carbonate doesn't deliver it into the brain unless you give close to 100 times the dose. So you fill your body with it. So it's a salt. So imagine taking 100 times the dose of salt. You're going to have some side effects from it. So they have to measure you don't have too much of it in your body. Then a German doctor discovered you do not need to give lithium carbonate. You just give lithium orotate. Orotate's a substance in mother's milk. It binds to the lithium and carries it into the brain. So you just need what you would normally get from your diet, which is a very small amount. That's all you need. But what happens in our modern day life is that we have so much stress. When you have stress, your brain has to balance 2 brain chemicals, dopamine, which take action, and serotonin, which is relax. So we're here 2 guys relaxed and taking action. Okay, so that's the brain. That's balanced testosterone and estrogen. Everything balances. So that's why I focus mainly on lithium, because lithium is balance your brain, balance your hormones. And if you ever experience, people who have any ups and downs will notice the effect. But even if you don't, let's say you're a more stable person, like a lot of men just don't go up and down, you will not notice the effect right away, but you have to know the brain research is that it grows brain cells in your brain. And Harvard did a 10-year study showing that lithium orotate and all these kinds of lithium, the one that I sell at my website is the one that they said they're recommending as prevention for Alzheimer's, and they're successfully treating Alzheimer's with it. So this is just keeping your brain going. But it's, my kids all take, everybody, it just helps your brain replenish a mineral, like we need calcium and magnesium, and it replenishes a mineral that gets lost very quickly and is not in our food. Okay, it's just depleted in our soil. You don't find much. Where you can find some natural lithium is in beets. This is why if you go to Russia, which is a cold place, borscht is a big food there, beets and meat. You get your lithium to balance the protein, to balance the serotonin in your brain. And for fun, if we can look at one of the differences between men and women is at the end of the day, a man basically runs out of dopamine. We literally run out. It's just the dopamine receptor sites just start closing down. We're kind of like have nothing to do. For women, they don't run out of dopamine. They have plenty of dopamine. And when men in the day, they have low dopamine and men have high serotonin. So we're done with our life. We forget it. I'm relaxed. No problem. My wife says, we got to get ready for something. We can do it tomorrow. Mañana. Whenever a man says mañana, put it off. It's high serotonin, low dopamine. Women have the opposite. They come home, their dopamine is, I have to do this, have to do this, have to do, and their serotonin is very low. Why is their serotonin very low? Because they're having to suppress their emotions all day long. It takes serotonin to push down your emotions. And it also stimulates testosterone when they push down their emotions. It's like the stress world is wreaking havoc with women. So she comes home and she's overwhelmed. So a cute little story I tell is, a man sitting on the couch in his cave doing whatever he's doing, and she wants him to do something. He'll say later, I'll do it later, whatever. He's got like magnets on his butt. And she thinks that's because he doesn't love her. He doesn't have any dopamine. Dopamine is what gets you moving and everything. And he says to her, and then women think something's wrong with us, like unloving. But look at the flip side. My wife's overwhelmed or stressed. I say, honey, can't you just forget it? Just come sit down. We can relax and be together. No, she can't. So a woman can understand a man is to recognize just as you have a problem being able to relax, he has a problem being motivated. And what I teach women is how they can communicate with a man in a certain way that motivates him. And by him being motivated, she will automatically relax. See, so her serotonin goes up. So this is what lithium does. It's the biological, it's the nutritional support that allows that function to happen more effectively. And it balances your dopamine and serotonin levels. However, what I add to my lithium orotate is a discovery in Russia, something called rhodiola. And these people who live 100 years old, 100 and healthy, this is like common in certain places in Russia. In the mountainous area, they drink this tea every day. And the tea is rhodiola. It's called Arctic tea or something like that. But that's the ingredient. And they used to give it to all, they still do, all the Russian athletes who are outdoing the Americans because it produces high levels of dopamine and serotonin. So that and other ingredients. There's also what people should know if they're taking antidepressants or whatever in that world, just saffron. Saffron is more effective in 28 studies than any antidepressant. Okay, saffron's this yellow spice that you put in rice. Okay, so I have super powerful saffron extracts for that as well. I have a whole bunch of other what's called adaptogens, but the most one is that producing dopamine and serotonin. Now you then have the lithium, which then balances the two. So that's why I have a lot of other stuff in it. So it's a great, great product. People should get that. I recommend to everybody. And I've been doing it, since I was 50. That's how I got into all this biohacking and everything. I was, at that time I had early stage Parkinson's and I got into biohacking and completely reversed it.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I don't give advice to people with Parkinson's. It takes a lot of, if it's progressed, these people don't even take the pills. They don't even do the thing. But so you don't get there. One is lithium orotate, or maybe you don't get there. I can't make health claims. But what I do, and if people is you balance, you get your adaptogens to make the dopamine and serotonin. You have the lithium to balance the dopamine and serotonin. You also need to have digested proteins in order to make the actual dopamine and serotonin. The adaptogens stimulate the production of these things. Then you have to have the protein. And if anybody is stressed, anybody has any illness, you're stressed. And for me, it was Parkinson's it was starting because my body wasn't fully digesting proteins. Anybody who's stressed or has mental problems is not digesting. If you have chronic stress in your life, you can't digest your proteins. So I developed a system of creating protein peptides. So if you actually digest your proteins, then your body converts them into peptides. And right now, at the first stage of my healing my Parkinson's was going down to Mexico and getting peptide injections. Now it's becoming very, very common. They're just very, very expensive. The peptides the treatment I was taking was $10,000 a week. I had to take a whole week and get IV drips of peptides, protein peptides, and ozone therapy. So those are the two things. And my Parkinson's went away. It was fantastic. 3 months later, came back. Went back, did the treatment. He told me what was in the injections, so then I wanted to make a natural way to do it. And so, because every 3 months for 2 times, it would come back. So then I said, well, I don't want to go back and do that. That's a hassle, going to Mexico a whole week to do this. And what I was in the room while everybody's getting the IV drips, the reason people were all there, they're all high-end people because it was expensive, and they were all alcoholics, drug addicts, OxyContin addict, sugar addicts, smoking addict. They were all addicts because getting that treatment would free you to go off of any drug without withdrawal. That's the hard thing about going off of drugs is the huge withdrawal.
I'm familiar.
Okay. But nobody in the room, I test to it a whole week being with drug addicts, and nobody went through withdrawals. We just sat around. We're just tired, just relaxing. The body was doing its healing from these injections. So the same thing that helped me with Parkinson's is the ultimate cure for addictions. I mean, it was amazing. So I just mimicked it, what he was doing, and I got the lithium orotate, and that was to balance he wasn't doing lithium, but I figured that out to add to my program. I needed to balance the brain chemicals. I needed adaptogens, which stimulate the production of dopamine and serotonin in a balanced way. And then I needed the raw fuel, which was getting pre-digested proteins, which is what peptides are. And you can spend thousands of dollars on peptides. I mean, it's a big thing. And they're all from the pharmaceutical industry. People should know. I mean, a lot of like natural people don't want to take drugs. You're taking drugs, okay? All the peptides are taken. And I'm one of another camp. I'm all natural, everything. I just feel God's given me this body and everything. But we do need nutrition. You know, it's in food, and they've taken it out of food, so I'm going to find a way to get it. So I figured out this system. I took the best protein ever created was from our mothers, which is mother's milk. Now, it didn't have to be mother's milk, but I could create mother's milk from cow's milk. Now, cow's milk is 90% casein and 10% whey. Mother's milk is 50% casein and 50% whey. That's why people have such a difficult time digesting milk. One of the reasons is it's for cows, not for humans. So I took the casein, took the whey protein, and I did it in high quality. And the thing is, you have to do high quality. It can't be pasteurized. It's not legal to make it completely unpasteurized, but they just have to have a short temperature. So it's very short heating up, and it's done. So now it's called denatured whey protein, denatured casein protein. You get the right balance, and it's all coming from cows that eat grass as opposed to oats. Okay, you produce a different kind of substance. If depending on what you feed the cow, you get something else. So you want grass-fed. So you get this shake that I put together, and then there's a Nobel Prize of these two enzymes that will digest proteins. So put those two enzymes in there, and you just shake it up with water, and you sit for 45 minutes, and it bubbles up all on its own. The enzymes go to work, and they digest all the protein. And now you have pre-digested protein. And Swiss scientists did studies on this idea, and they found by measuring nitrogen gas in your breath, how much of the protein you're actually utilizing. If you eat a good steak, you'll get 30%. If you eat vegetarian protein, you'll get 10%. If you get one of the shakes on the market, you'll get like 20%. Ultimately, you get the best protein. It's going to be a steak. For all you vegetarians, you can still get your protein, just eat a lot. But with this, they measured it, and based on the nitrogen output, they found that you were utilizing protein utilization was 92%. So you're getting 3 times the benefit, and maybe 10 times the benefit of a vegetarian diet if you can have the milk at least. So it's profound, and you don't even need to drink as much protein then. You know, we have these huge needs for protein, but you're getting 3 times more protein utilization out of going through this procedure. And it's a hassle. I did it for a long time. Sometimes I'll just use the shake, and I'm in a hurry, I'll do it. You don't have to do it every day, but what I'll do is most of the time I have my incubated shake, and you drink that incubated shake and it tastes totally different. And in order for it to work, the shake also has to have a little sugar in it, because the sugar activates the metabolism to stimulate the enzymes to break down the proteins. But after 45 minutes, it's literally a sugarless shake. Now, for people that have real sugar issues, that's the one you should use. But if you don't, you can always put a few dates in it, put a little banana in it, sweeten it up, because it's not sweet, okay? So people want sweet, so you got to add something to it. Or you could put some stevia in it, whatever. Vanilla stevia sometimes I'll put in mine just to... But anyway, that is something I still do for all these years, along with the lithium orotate. I look at those as the key factors to give my body what it needs, and then it's through my behavior, my work on my own, I have to achieve my successes, and then I have to help my family. You know, those two things. And if you don't have a family, you take care of someone. Like right now, you're sitting there loving your little dog.
I got lucky today. She's sat with me the whole day.
Yeah, so this is, you have to feel somebody who's littler than you, that's another factor, needs your help. It's really easy. That's why women all want taller men. They want that taller man. Why? Because they immediately feel like a little bird. This is kind of what some women say. But literally, he's stronger than me, therefore I can depend on him. And I never related to that at all until I was in Russia one time, and I had this and I never feel in danger anywhere, but so I don't feel fear. But when I had this bodyguard, they wanted me to have this big, huge guy, and I was asking about his car, and I said, "Do you like this Mercedes?" He says, "I could use the bigger one." But he was with me, and I started to have this feeling that I'd never felt before. I began to feel, I feel so safe. So it's not like I have fear, but I suddenly began to feel so safe. And that's what goes on inside of women, is they live in a world of fear, but with a man who's big, there's something about big men, because for thousands of years, it was the big men that could protect you from force, it wasn't. So then I began to go, oh, this is what women need, is there's so much on their male side. They need a man who has masculine qualities to help her feel safe. Because it's when you feel safe that you make estradiol. Estradiol is the main hormone of estrogen that women have when they're cycling. Now, this is for all the women over 40 and menopause. You know what I'm talking about. Things dry up down south. You have more anxiety. You can feel stressed. Your bones become weaker. You get more wrinkles. That's all from the lack of estradiol. And your body makes estradiol automatically when you have eggs. But when you run out of eggs, that's menopause. Now, your body makes another form of estrogen, which is called estrone. Estrone is what's called weak estrogen. You don't get any of the benefits of estradiol, because all estradiol is based upon I need help and somebody is here for me, and now I feel safe because I was in danger and I've been doing it myself. So now I don't have to do it myself. I have help. That then produces estradiol. When estrone comes along, you don't automatically make estradiol for your woman. What estrone makes in your brain is the feeling of, I can do it all myself. I can do it myself. So I don't need anybody. So now what you become is this woman with wrinkles, and this woman who gains weight, and this woman who doesn't enjoy sex. Sometimes it's very painful, not that interested, wants to satisfy her husband. But that's all deficiency of estradiol. And estrone will lead you that way. Estrone says, I don't need anybody. Estradiol says, I need you and I have you. Okay, so this is all revelation. Okay, this is why my clients over the years have been beyond menopause. They continue having romance. They continue having great sex, in their 80s. How is this happening for my people? It's because they're doing these exercises that I teach that put women in a position of being vulnerable. When a woman can be vulnerable, but estrone says you're not vulnerable. It says, I can do it myself. I don't need anybody. So they become hardened. They become a little tougher. Not all women, but to a great extent, they stop depending. And that's what I saw in the woman who teaches how to process your feelings so that you can always feel good, because you can always realize you're telling yourself a story. Byron Katie, was it?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So you can tell yourself, I'm telling us, that's great. That's a step one. But now you want to produce estradiol. You have to say, okay, now that I have nothing to be upset about, I have something to feel better about, which is I need. And learning how to communicate, learning to ask for help, learning how to process negative emotions. Instead of logically getting rid of your emotions, you dry up eventually if you're logically doing it. For men, it's great. But for women, it suppresses emotion. Logic suppresses emotion. So the key is to be able to, I have a whole app for this. It's called Mars Venus Heart Space app. The book explains how to do it yourself. You need to read the book first, how to use the app. But the app actually does it for you until you get so much benefit you're willing to do it for yourself. It mimics a session with me. But the ultimate thing is learning how to process your feelings. And if you look at a mega level of this, whenever you have a negative emotions, it's because your brain thinks you're in danger. So if you can journal your emotions and not use them to solve the problem, then your brain goes, if I'm not using these to solve the problem, I must be safe. And the brain then will stop producing them. Whenever you use a negative emotion to solve a problem, like complain about somebody, get mad at somebody, you're using your emotions. You're like an animal, just using your emotions to manipulate. Anger is, I'm going to dominate you. Sadness, I'm going to invoke support from you. Fear is that I'll get you to help me. Shame and guilt is, you'll trust me better if I feel bad. Okay, so these are all manipulations. Now, I'm not saying don't feel them. It's part of who we're designed to be. But so consciousness is you have to be conscious of what these negative emotions are without trying to solve a problem, will actually tell the brain, I'm safe. So the brain goes, well, there's no need to have those emotions. And meanwhile, you're analyzing, you're feeling the emotions, you're learning from them, and you're coming back from negative. Immediately, you'll go to the positive. If you fully go to the depth of your negative emotions and you become aware of what's underneath all negative emotions is unfulfilled desire. So you have to feel your unfulfilled desire. You become aware, okay, behind my anger or my sadness, whatever, I'm going to feel what I really want. And then behind that is your soul, okay? Because you get back in touch with your soul's desires, what really guides you at a deep level. And I'm going to give an example of this. My wife died 8 years ago. You know, I love her, whatever, but I'm healed. I'm happy. I'm fulfilled. I wasn't for many years. I was processing. But even right now, I could think about Bonnie, and I could start to feel like I love Bonnie. I miss Bonnie. And I'll always start to tear up a little bit. And I miss her. I love her. And I feel sad. And sometimes I'll just feel sad. And I realize, what am I sad about? Is I miss Bonnie. And then I ask, and sadness is pain. All negative emotions are pain. And I just ask myself, well, why do I feel sad? And I feel sad because I miss her. And why do I miss her? Because I love her so much. And just that one little moment, I feel tingling going through my body. I've just connected to a deeper part of my soul that you can't always fully feel when you're busy on your male side talking about this thing. But right, that little shift, coming back to behind every unfulfilled desire is a need. And why do I love her? Which is I need her, but why do I miss her? And then why do I miss her? Because I love her. It always brings you back to love. It brings you back to gratitude. Sometimes when people are upset, just start writing out what you want. First, write your negative emotions, because you can't push them down. Because when you're disconnected from what I want, you're going to have negative emotions. Okay, so negative emotions, then writing out what you want. And sometimes you just go right into being aware of what you want. It's kind of you go to a file of what do I want. And when you're going to that file in your brain, you realize you already have so much of what you want. So you see all of this gratitude rather than being hyper-focused on something you don't want. Because the brain will do that when it's stressed. It's like, if it's a tiger, I got to be looking at a tiger. I can't be thinking about how much I like my garden. You know, it's your brain hyper-focused. You go, I'm anger, I'm sad, I'm afraid, and I regret, or I feel bad. These are all these deeper emotions. And when you go through 4 levels of them, and then what you're wanting and wishing and needing, automatically then ask yourself, what am I grateful for? What am I happy about? What am I proud of? And what do I love? Those are like the 4 levels of positive emotion, real simply put. And anything that's ever bothering you, when we're stressed, we think it's the outer world. We have to change the outer world. And what you're talking about, we're changing our story. And what I'm talking about is change your feelings as well that go with the story that you're telling yourself. And you'll always come back to a fully felt level of love, forgiveness, understanding, and caring, and motivation, and devotion. It's all inside of us. Is that we don't know how to process negative emotions. And as we talked about earlier, the childhood issues would get triggered. If your relationship is good, you're going to feel safe. Things are going to trigger you. And for people who didn't really get it, I'm going to remind us again, the modern word for the word I used to use is delayed reaction. You know, old reaction gets to come out. It's PTSD. For people who understand this now, a soldier in battle, you've got to solve the problem so everything gets repressed. Danger, it just gets pushed down. Can't be thinking about your emotions, otherwise you're going to run. Okay, so you have to push everything down because it's not appropriate to feel them in a dangerous situation. So you push it down because it's dangerous. You come back into the world of safety. What happens is now you start having the feelings you had that you couldn't look at when you were in battle. And that's where you get this PTSD thing where terrible emotions come up and everything. And then take it a step further. What is a guy who has PTSD coming up? He starts feeling suffering, okay? He's suffering. He's feeling inadequate because you can't save everybody. Your best friend just got killed. You feel bad, you survived. They didn't. All kinds of feelings come up. They're pushed down. They come up. Now, what's the way? Because men don't know how to process those strong negative emotions. how do they process them? The way they process it, they get on their motorcycle and they drive really fast. And so by creating danger, what happens in creating danger is those memories all come back because now you're not safe. So for PTSD, when you're safe, it comes up. So to avoid it coming up, you create danger. You create adrenaline, which pushes them back down. And most of the deaths from soldiers is doing dangerous things. Or they come back and they do promiscuous sex. That's another thing. Wild, crazy sex. They do drugs. They do promiscuous sex. Weird, aberrated sex life. All that is doing what's taboo. Taboo feels so good because it pushes down your feelings. And I'm just saying, there's a different world where you don't have, where who you are is, you feel like I don't have to hide it from anybody. I'm an open book, so I'm not stressed ever at all. But that took years of processing the deep childhood feelings where I would feel, as a child, you don't know it, but you feel powerless, you feel inadequate, you feel afraid, you feel the world's against you and everything. Our spiritual lineage is, once you start living in that life, it's now a cliche, but everything that happens to me is happening for me. And I told you today, even getting here was one mishap after another. And I go, well, this will be the theme of my talk that I give at the conference today, because it's just give me 30 minutes. So it's for me to condense what I know will change people's lives. So I'll just focus on one thing. So what would that one thing be? I called the driver. First of all, I couldn't get out of the hotel. It was hard to figure. My elevators didn't go all to the ground floor. They went to the third floor. I'm trying to figure out going down escalators and trying to find my way out of this hotel. And then I finally get my Uber car, and the Uber car to take me to this interview. I got the best car. The guy drives up in this new Ford big car. The windows didn't work, okay? Or he wasn't willing to roll down the windows, and he had one of those green things that fumigates the car, purely toxic and stinks and whatever. And so the car stunk, and the windows wouldn't go down. So normally if that happens, it's quite common for people who drive. Other countries, they don't smell what we smell. I bet they don't even know what they smell, it seemed. But anyway, so he wouldn't let me roll down my window. So then I had to get out, start all over, got to this whole thing late. And then when I even got here, he brought me to the wrong house. So we're trying to find the place. And just remind me, so I'll start out my talk. I was going to say, relationships are so frustrating because you're doing everything right and it doesn't work. And then when it doesn't work, you basically feel trapped and you can't get out. And this is particularly what men experience in relationships, is when they feel that sort of new age guy, I'm supposed to listen. I read John Gray's books. I'm just saying, listen 10 minutes. And if you're uncomfortable, stop at that point. Okay. Don't be Superman here until you are. Okay. I can listen forever. Well, actually I can't, but I'm like bulletproof. I have all these techniques. And one technique that you talked about was, how can you feel empathy for her about things you wouldn't understand? This little skill I have inside, which is I'm noticing how I feel while she's talking. And I just this is really, really hard. I really don't want to do this. That's actually the feeling, if you look at the feeling, And I go, okay, this is exactly what she must be feeling. And I feel compassion for myself having to go through this journey. I can feel that compassion for her. See, it's like a way I can relate to her suffering.
That's a good one.
The suffering that I feel listening to her is the suffering she's experiencing right now. Isn't that great?
Love it.
What other real easy one? Because you absorb this stuff. So these are like little techniques. Another one I do is, again, my message is, we're not responsible to make a woman happy. That's not I want to, I try my best, whatever, but really my goal is to help her when she needs help. And then if she's happy, how can I make her happier? That's romance. All right. So you got that is a foundation. So I was in South Africa, and I promote radio shows back in the day. And they said, oh, you don't want biggest guy there. You don't want to do that show. He totally hates women. He's dysfunctional. He'll tear you to pieces. I said, come on. Because he's a guy. I'm a guy. I understand men totally. And also understand women, but understand this guy. I said, no problem. No, you don't want to do him. I said, I'm going to do him. He filled up my whole seminar just because I'm one guy. And he was talking about women, and he was starting to make some jokes about it. I said, yeah, I picked on it right away. I said, women, they always expect you to make them happy. It's not our job to make them happy. He went, what? That's not my job to make her happy. I said, no, if she's happy, make her happier. But happiness is everybody's responsibility. You can't be a child. Children need it, but not your wife. She has to be responsible. They should put that on the marriage certificate. My job is not to make you happy, but just to make you happier. He loved it. That became a big theme for me. But how I do that is sometimes my wife will be having, it's a bummer. You want to be next to a happy woman and she's not happy. She's in a bad mood some days. And it's kind of like, brings energy down a little bit. And I watch myself, I analyze, and I go, okay, why am I not feeling good? It's because I feel it's my job to make her happy. If somebody comes in your house and you don't feel it's your job to make them happy, it doesn't bother you that much. It's when you feel this huge attachment we have to making a woman happy. There's no doubt about it. If she's happy, I feel I take credit for it. So how do I detach from that when she's not happy? I imagine myself as the plumber. And I'm a plumber, and I go into a woman's house, and she's complaining about the plumbing. I'll fix the plumbing. But if she was to say to me, this paint job is terrible, I go, yeah, it's not my job. I just imagine, if I'm the plumber and she's complaining about the paint, yeah, I can say, tell me more. It's really awful. You should find a good plumber, a good painter. So she's looking to me. That just sort of frees me from the idea that we get caught up into being overly attached to her feeling happy for us to feel good. That's why it's so important that a man has something he can to make himself happy through his actions and efforts in his life, not depending on his partner. And the better I feel about myself, I'm not dependent on feeling happy from my wife's mood. But I do know that I can feel happier for sure, or I feel happy when I'm able to help her. But I can't help her unless she wants to be helped. And sometimes a woman just doesn't want to be helped. And so in those cases, like I could say, do you want to talk about something? No, there's nothing I want to talk about. And I think women secretly will know they're making you suffer at that time because they can sense it, because they also suffer when we're in a bad mood. If I'm in a bad mood, it's really good to be in another room. It's hard for women. My wife says, when you're in your cave, you're really in your cave. And because what they do is they feel, if he doesn't want to connect with me, he must not love me. But that's what women have to learn. It's not personal at all. It's what he has to do for himself. Like I've learned when my wife is upset, it's not about me. It's about her need to talk about what's going on. She's a human being. We're all, suffering in this world together. And how do you cope with it? Anyway, I just wanted to add those few things.
I love it, dude. Well, thank you so much. I knew we were going to have an incredible deep dive today.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I appreciate, time.
Is that the time or is that how long we've been
That's how long we've been going.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Oh my gosh. I'm timeless, this is terrible.
Hey man, that's flow state. But, everyone's got the show notes. I thank you so much for taking the time to come out here.
I know another question people are going to ask. We talked all about that protein powder. Yeah. I don't sell it on my website.
Oh, okay.
The reason I don't sell it is because I tend to talk it up like just now. I talk about Parkinson's. I talk about these things. And FDA told me I couldn't do that. Okay. So if you want to find out more about that, if you go to marsvenus.com, if you go to contact, at the very bottom, you say contact, we will send you a phone number of somebody you could talk to who sells it.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I can't sell it.
It's a workaround.
They called me, they said I was selling drugs. Because if you say there's a benefit to something, that's called drugs.
Yeah.
And everybody else does it, but somehow for me, I was so famous at the time, finish spotlight on him.
Well, that's a good workaround.
Yeah, it's a good workaround.
All right, dude. Well, thanks for joining me again.
Appreciate it so much. Thank you, Luke Story.
Yep. All right, family. Thanks for tuning in to The Lifestylist and making me part of your day. Now for a quick reality check. If social media pulled the plug on me tomorrow, how would we stay connected? I've been battling the Chinese Communist Party for years as they keep banning me on TikTok. And you never know how the tide might shift with Instagram or YouTube either. One wrong word and the algorithm can shut you down. That's why I've been proactive. I'm doubling down on email as one of my most reliable long-term channels of communication. But there's one new twist. Instead of me blasting the same content to everyone on my email list, now you get to choose exactly what shows up in your inbox and what doesn't. So whether it's biohacking, truth, wellness, spirituality, or my uncut take on current events, whatever lights you up the most is what you'll get. So I highly recommend you get to lukestory.com/private house. Set your preferences and enjoy a content stream based on your most important interests. There's no middleman, no algorithm, no censorship, and no spam. It's where I can speak freely and share what I actually think, and no one but you and me decides what gets seen. So again, that's lukestory.com/private house, where you can enjoy a tailored experience with bonus content you won't get anywhere else. And there's no need to even memorize that link or save it for later. You're going to see it right in this episode description on your podcast app. So hit it before you quit it. And I'll see you all in my private house.